Good evening for another very special edition of 𝐒𝐿𝐮𝐧 Live. This time we're coming from Odaiba Marine Park in Tokyo Bay with co-host Sid Cassidy. Welcome, Sid.
Thanks, Steve. And boy, what a joy it is to be here with you and your team. This is, the second day of what Tokyo has pulled off that a lot of people said could not be done.
Absolutely. And yesterday, man, that was a race. I would have said on 10 different days, 10 different women would have won. But after looking at Ana Marcela Cunha of Brazil win yesterday, I would have said she could probably win 3 out of 10. I mean, she was at the front. She took charge. She was confident. She sprinted. She did everything.
Steve, I'm so thrilled. If it's not an American girl winning it yesterday, of course, I'm a little biased. I was absolutely excited because we all in the swimming world know what Anna Maria has gone through. I mean, let's face it. She's been in every single Olympic marathon swim starting in Beijing. How old was she there? 15, 16?
16, yeah.
And then the pressure was on her because she was #1 in the world when we went to Rio. And boy, we know what that local home crowd was like. And when she didn't quite get up on the podium, still had a great swim. I know how she felt, and then add another year onto it, 5 years later, and boy, vindication came sweet.
Absolutely. And, we have to remember that she got her spleen removed. I mean, I'm not quite sure what a spleen does. It's about this size. It sits under your rib. I'm not quite sure what it does, but when you take anything out of your body, it's got to be impactful.
Pretty amazing young woman. She stood up there and, as you said yesterday when she finished, it was the first time we'd seen her cry after a race. And she's, always been a little stoic and the really tough swimmer. And I'm going to get, but man, I was thrilled for her and really all the women. That top 7 or 8 women were so close the entire way. And the other medalists to step up, give us a report on the silver medal.
Oh man. I mean, Sharon, from the Netherlands, to be the defending champion. And I know in her home country of the Netherlands, there must have been so much media pressure on her to win again. And, she hasn't reached the pinnacle over the last 2 years that she did in 2016. And she came out and she admitted she gave it all she can. She was very proud of herself. A silver is a silver, and she did win. And I was also very happy for her.
I've never seen such a happy silver medalist. I mean, she was bouncing out of that water and thrilled, and it was exciting to watch her because you never know. Sometimes they come in that tight race, and of course, she'd been on top. But I think you're right. I think to come back 5 years later, medal again, have a great swim the way she did was awesome.
Yeah. And in the 3rd place, Karina Lee of Australia.
Oh, man. I put a little tribute up on my site today. I put a Laurie Lawrence poem and a song up I'd had from our days. But he epitomized what the feeling in Australia is all about, this swim team. The women, especially in Australia, this competition, starting with day 1, have been nothing short of outstanding. So I say kudos, thumbs up to all my friends from down under. It's been great. And Miss Lee certainly represented yesterday.
Yeah. And it's really nice because I know the Australians, what was it, 2 Olympics ago, they came in with great fanfare and they didn't live up to the hype. And they did a lot of soul searching. They said, hey, look we didn't perform like we should have. And they didn't complain. They just went back and they worked hard. They reviewed what they did. And this is the result. I mean, their pool swimmers were outstanding. Their relays were unbelievable. I mean, they just destroyed people.
Best ever. Yeah. In many cases, I say a tip of the hat, to all those down under folks. And we expect more of the same great racing today, not just from Australia, but what do you think about the men's race?
Oh, man. I mean, when I look at everybody, I look at Florian Wellbrock of Germany. I look at Marc Antoine of France. I look at Ferry Wertmann, the defending champion. I look at Jordan Wilmosky of the U.S., who just blew everybody away out over in the World Championships in was Kazan, Russia.
Right.
I mean, any one of these guys can do it.
Okay, so going left to right, top to bottom, let's identify them. These are kind of our 6 favorites. It doesn't mean, I mean, there's plenty of other guys that can get on the podium, but we're kind of predicting that a couple of these guys, maybe 3 of them, could get on the podium.
Yes. So we got Florian Wilbrock, the guy with his arms up here saying hey, why me?
Right. But he just finished the 1500 in the final heat and was in the mix.
Right. That was a great race. Oh my God.
Absolutely. It was outstanding. And
yeah. And then below him is Rob Muffles, his German teammate. He got 3rd in the World Championship, so he qualified 3rd. He's seeded 3rd. I like his odds just because he holds space around the buoy turns. I don't think he's afraid of any kind of physicality. He's been around for a long, long time. Hasn't had the World Championships under his belt as the others have, but just like Karina Lee, they could surprise people on today in Tokyo.
Absolutely. And what about our young man from France? We know he's coached by Stéphane Lecotte, one of the greatest athletes of his day, and now well respected as one of the greatest coaches, open water coaches for sure, in not only in France, but in all the world.
Yeah. This Frenchman, man, I think he's deceptive, very much like Jordan Wilmosky. They're not big. They don't have these big, huge, broad shoulders. They're just aerobic machines. I've had the pleasure of watching him work out, and he's back and forth, then back and forth, then back and forth. And he's ripping off just fantastic times. And you combine that with Stéphane Lecotte, who's been feeding him just all kinds of strategic information. I mean, I'm sure they're like an NFL football team that has a playbook on each of one of the competitors. I would not doubt that at all.
Oh yeah, I could see that. And right below him is Jordan Wilmosky, with the red, white, and blue, the stars and the stripes. And I know that he swam very well at the Olympic trials, but not well enough to quite make the pool team just a month or so ago. And last time around in Rio, he had that double duty coming right out of the 1500 and boom, a couple days later. And he nearly got on the podium at Rio. And I'm just wondering if maybe without having that pool, he still has the speed. He's extremely fast. But I'm just wondering if maybe having these last couple months without that distraction of a 1500 pool swim might be better for him.
Yeah. And I just realized I just moved my screen. I made a mistake. Rob Muffles is to Mark's right.
Okay.
Or on your left. It's Christoph from Hungary who's below down there on the left side of.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. The flags go different ways. Hungary.
Yeah. 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 So I apologize for Christoph. I mean, he came on the scene a few years ago, had an outstanding World Championships, swam the 5K, the 10K, the 25K on the relays. This guy's versatile, which means he has a speed for a 5K. He's got the stamina for the 10K. I don't think, very much like Florian, he's very slender. And I think I think the heat is not going to affect him as much as bigger, huskier guys.
Well, that's probably, an anecdotal rather than a scientific point. And it might be true. It might, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it, but I mean, we were shocked yesterday at the women getting out that they weren't in more of a destitute state. I really expected several to go on stretchers and everyone seemed to walk away.
I think that is more the fact that they just acclimated well. I mean, they've known Tokyo will be very, very warm. It was 29.3 yesterday, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and they handled it very, very well, very well.
So we've talked about the 4 guys on the left. Over on the right, that you said that was Muffles, right?
Yeah.
And we did talk a little bit about Muffles, and then the 6 swimmer.
Guy is Gregorio Polterini. Now,
Exactly.
I was expecting him to be more of a factor in the 800 and 1500. He did get a silver in the 800. He was a little bit off of pace. He got fourth in the 1500. We heard he had mononucleosis in June. He was well off his time in the 1500.
Now he just got Bobby finked. He got finked. He was one of the best swimmers in there, but he went out he was out very fast. I thought he was going out too fast in that 800, but he hung on, and it just Bobby Fink came back in 26 low, 25. If you're watching us, you got to be a swimming person, but 25 in a long course 50 free at the end of your 1500 is faster than any of those guys were bringing home the 2 IM, the 4 free, any of those races.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's going to be a factor today for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I like his swimming style. It's aggressive. He goes out. I don't know if you were there, it was 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago, where the Italians actually came to the United States Swimming National Open Water Swimming Championships. And he just went out and nobody caught him. He was gone. And that included Jordan Wilimovsky.
And this field's a little stronger, and they're also aware of his tactics. So,
yes.
They've seen him they've watched the pool last week because they didn't have much else to do but sit in a room. They've all been in quarantine. They can swim and go to their room. Right. I'm sure they're all thinking, hey, if the Italian goes, I better go with him because I might not be able to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the other thing too about Gregorio, he's got a teammate. Sanzulo, his Italian teammate. Now, I don't know. I think the Italians are one of the best tacticians in the sport. They study this like no other. And I don't think they sacrifice one athlete for another, but they certainly will do all they can to work together, I believe.
They've been an incredible team since we first started FINA Open Water World Championships in 1991.
Yeah.
Always one of the best teams. Always one of the best teams, well prepared, so well coached. Those Italians, you're correct. They could both end up on the podium.
Yes. And we also have Mark also has a French teammate, David Aubry.
Stream is coming on.
Now he is actually quite fast in the pool. He didn't quite live up to his best times in the pool, but maybe that's what he needs to. That's what he needs. That's what. Hopefully, he needs a different venue in order to see himself on the podium.
Yep, and boy, you can see a picture on our site, the screen below now. If you're like us, you please realize that while I try and get the volume down, the stream's coming on here. But the idea that we're commentating on this by rule, there's legal rules. We can't rebroadcast NBC, or we can't take the Japanese feed and show it to you all. What we can do, what we're allowed to do, is comment on it. So we're encouraging everyone in about 5 minutes now. Get your favorite stream. I'm sure, in North America, there's going to be some NBC or MSNBC. I'm sure they'll put it on, but they'll cut away. But if you go to one of the live streams and either the NBC app or go to your favorite place to catch these sporting live streams, and you can watch it, turn the volume down and listen to us, because we know more than those guys do. Don't we, Steve? At least we claim to. I don't know if we really do. We act like we do, and maybe people listen to us just because of that. But
yes, yeah. So, well, I think what we do have, Sid, is we have many decades in this sport, and we love the sport, and we've been following these swimmers for a long time, and nobody on here has just sort of popped in on the scene. They've all been around. They've all paid their dues. They've been traveling around the world, whether it's the Len Cup in Europe or Pan-Pacific Championships in the Asian, the Pan-Pacific area. These people have paid their dues. Small, short ocean swims or the long 25 marathon swims.
I agree, and I'm very excited to be sharing another day with you, with Quinn Fitzgerald behind the scenes. You see, I know that him being the producer par excellence, team has been a great help for me personally and for us getting this thing going. And you'll see that Quinn's already placed up. There's the first 9 start list with their numbers in the chronological order. I see the stream, Bill Thorley now walking out on my screen. Steve, have you got that?
No, I'm having some technical difficulties on my side.
Maluli walking out. Okay, we haven't talked about Us. I love this guy. I know he's a lightning rod. I know a lot of people have issues with him. Some people said, "Oh, he's a drug cheating guy." You know what? I read his story, and I've known Us since decades, more than a day. I believe his story. You know, I think he got caught up just like a lot of our swimmers, American swimmers, a lot of swimmers from around the world. And we have to have these tough anti-doping rules. But Us Maluli, first man to actually medal in both. Like he did the 2012. He was, how'd I get it backwards? He had the pool 1500 in London. And then, London was his open water medal.
Let's see. No, it was 2008. 2008. He was with Grant Hackett and that group.
Right.
It was a great race. He did the original Bobby Fink to win that race, and then he came back in 2012. He shocked the marathon swimming world by adding the 10K to it, and then that's when he got the Maluli double, as we call it.
Right. And he qualified at the last minute in that repecharge event that we hold. And, certainly there we go as they're walking out to the platform. This is pretty exciting. I've got, I really believe this. There's Florian getting a sip of water. I guess you're going to want to drink right up to the moment you start, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Rob Muffles is getting a height 1.88 meters. That's a pretty tall swimmer.
Yes.
Coming up, I think the group coming out, and they're a few of them actually wearing some sweats and towels and things. I don't know if that's to stay warm or just keep the sun off of them. The sun rose in that part. There's Ferry Wheatman. It rose about an hour and a half before the start time. So, you can see a couple of the guys wanting to jump in and get wet, get themselves set, which I guess is pretty standard. Sometimes it's just to relieve themselves because, let's face it, there's no bathroom stops along this 2-hour, journey. And,
right.
They've been drinking a lot of water, and they're going to continue to drink a lot of water. And we didn't talk about it yesterday, but that is a skill to be able to relieve yourself and during the race. And here we go. It's certainly something that's helpful so your bladder doesn't build up while you're hydrating. I see Jordan Wilimowski there getting some arm swings in, and I think we're about ready for the start. Get your clocks going. We got 26 men today, Stephen. A little unusual. We'll talk about that. There they go. And they're in the water.
Okay, you call it. I'm having problems. I'm not seeing anything on my screen, so that's okay.
Okay, well, they're just heading out. We had, I couldn't tell which number, but 2 of the guys stepped back a lot in the same way Haley Anderson did yesterday and let the group go. The feed that I'm watching has a super high drone shot right now. And the swimmers will head directly out. You'll see just off to the right is that big arc of the timing bridge that Omega built for us. They don't go through that on the first loop. The first loop, they'll go directly to the far buoy and then make a 90-degree left-hand turn. And the course is such that you are going to make 4 of those, and you're going to do 7 loops. And so you're making 27 turns before you come straight into the finish. And the turns are a big part of it. I do have to tell you, I think the tempo, at least on this first loop right off the bat, is, they're only a minute or 2 in. It's nice and smooth. And it looks like it's either Wellbrook. It's one of the 2 Germans. I can't see a number yet. is out to the lead. And yeah, it is Florian. And he's just chilling. I mean, we talked about strokes per minute yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had for a long portion of the race, you know, while Ashley was leading and between 85 and 90 strokes per minute, the way I count them, but they were going up to 45 cycles per minute. Some of the other girls were back down, and beautiful replay of the dive. It's nice. They have such good, visuals here at the camera work is incredible. It's incredible. Sneaking up behind there. Okay. They're coming into the very first 90-degree turn. It's this big round built to order buoy. I mean, it's got a tall red piece in the middle and then a six-sided polygon. They're all swimming around and it kind of spins with them. So nobody getting too jammed up on the first turn. They're all still a little, okay, let's just get our warm-up loop in. But Florian Roebuck is definitely the guy in the lead. And Bill Ford is your head referee today for the men. And I see him there. He's not happy with his captain at the moment, but he will, he's wanted to make sure that engine is nowhere near that pack of swimmers. But then the catch is the referees have to be close enough so that the swimmers respect the rules. If they see the referee 20 meters off, they know that he's not going to be able to make nearly the same amount of calls as he will if he's 5 meters off.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to depend on you because my computer is just not working. So you just tell me what's going on. I can't even get my NBC feed, so I don't see anything from Japan or the US.
Okay. Well, I'm here in the media lab at St. Andrew's School, and thanks to my good friend Rico Rincon for getting me all set up. So what you need is a Rico over at your place,
right,
because he knows this stuff. It's not like I know VPN from ESPN. I don't know the difference, but I can tell you, we got a beautiful camera angle here on a big screen, high def, and Florian is pulling away. I mean, it could be that his stroke tempo is slow and that he's just really putting a lot into it, but there's no one on his feet. He's probably got a 5 meter lead already 4 minutes into the race.
And the water, from what I can see from the photos, the water looks glassy. Absolutely glassy.
It does look a little bit more calm than yesterday. Now, they were calling for a little bit more sunshine. They were talking about the, here's a great shot now that you can see on our screen what the 5 meter lead looks like. It might even be 7 there. But Florian, arguably the fastest 1500 time out of this crew, at least during the current year. And he might say, hey, you know what? It didn't really work for Ashley yesterday. Well, Ashley never broke clean. She did have a pack go with her of elite girls, but she led most of the way. I don't know. Yeah. He's probably saying, well, you know what? This has been my strategy. I'm just going to give it a run. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. But it is still so early. It's only 5 minutes in. He could easily shut it down and go right back with the pack if he chose to. But to date, no, it looks like he went on the left side of the marker buoy, and most of the crowd's going to follow suit there. No, well, I said the left, as it depends how you're looking at it. And yeah, most of them probably did follow him, but it's a spread out pack. It is not like the ladies linear. It is, there's one swimmer out ahead, and that's Florian. And boy, he does. He's number 12 there. He's got a 6-beat kick working, but that's his natural kick. And I know those Germans. For many years, Sheila Stief has been one of the coaches over there that I've actually gotten to know and picked her brain. And the German Federation does this event as well as anybody in the world. They put a lot into it, and you've seen that through the years.
Right.
You remember the great Thomas Lurs? You got a
Oh,
race
my
or two
God.
of his in mind that you recall?
Thomas workouts were just legendary. He'd do it a really hard workout. And we were talking about this with Peter Stoichev, and they have all the top guys and, 6 of the top marathoners in the world. And Thomas Lures always had to do an extra 50 before they got in and an extra 50 after they got out. And Peter one day said, "Why are you always doing the extra 50? He said, "Because that's going to count when it matters."
That's the mentality of a world champion. And how many times did Thomas win that title with the FINA 10K World Cup Series? Or how many times did he go to the World Championships and pull out another gold? Phenomenal athlete who really set the pace for the last decade, more than that, where he was representing Germany. So I think Florian is certainly probably grew up in that shadow and looking up like an idol, saying, "Hey, this is a guy I would like to model myself after." And certainly Thomas was a great gentleman. They're now closing in on the buoy, which is 745 meters into the buoy that's closest to the Rainbow Bridge and furthest from the start. So if we call them buoy 1, 2, 3, and 4, with 4 being, back at the end of the first loop, this would be buoy number 2. And there's nobody within the screen. He turned at 7:50. Let's see when the next guy comes by. 56, 57, 58, 59. He's got 12-second lead by my eyeball method, the eyeball.
Wow.
So that's 8 minutes in. He's 12 seconds up.
Where's Rob Muffles in there? Can you guess where he is?
Okay, well, whoever's second has already accidentally lost their bathing cap, and fish are jumping. What a beautiful sight. So a lot of the men, especially, not so many of the women, but the men on a heated day like this in the water will pull their cap off. And technically they're not allowed to, but the reality, and I remember, I can't tell where Muffles is. The second guy doesn't have a cap on right now, but we'll see when they're going to be going by one of the Omega checkpoints here pretty soon. And, but I do remember that great story from our very first marathon and at the Olympic level, the 10K in Beijing. And it was, certainly the Netherlands team in the meeting the day before the race were going on about, it's so hot, we can't have the cap rule. And we said, well, the cap rule's in place to help, the world identify your swimmer, because he said, well, he's not going to wear a cap. I said, that's fine. And I was the chairman of the committee. I said, there's no problem. He just has to put the initials of the Netherlands on his head. If he's going to shave his head. And he did,
Yes. Ned. They called him Ned.
We were calling him Ned. And my daughter, who was all of about 10 years old, because like him or hate him, Cornell Marculescu was a man of his word, Steve. And he promised me back in 1996, because I held him, I said, hey, when we get this event into the Olympic Games, I want to bring my wife and my kids, and we want to bring the whole family. He said, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And sure enough, we got to 2005, we got it in. I reminded him a year or two later. And then in the mail, my family received infinity passes and got to go and watch the games, and it was great. But Kate, my daughter, is calling him Ned. Oh, Ned, there's Ned. Met him and thought that was his name. It was the cutest thing, but boy, what a race that one was.
Yeah.
But he did a smart, he was sitting back. Okay, the number 2 man, let's check our numbers here. I think Quinn may see it. It looks like he's got no cap on, short, blondish hair. I'm thinking 21, maybe. I'm trying to get a read on. It's the Frenchman. It is. Marc Antoine, number 21, Olivier. And he lost his cap early. I'm sure that was a plan between the coaching staff. And he's seen Florian take off, and he has picked up his pace, Steve. He really has. And he now is swimming solo with about 2 meters behind his feet, and there's nobody neck. No. So it's a type of race that may be a little bit different. You think of the strategies think of the type of race it is. This is a race with 25, 26. We didn't address that yet, but a handful of athletes compared to the world championships that we saw 3 years ago in Budapest, right? Where we had 70, 80 people in this race.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again,
crowded.
And in that race, the goal was to finish top 10 because the top 10 qualified for the Olympic Games. In this race, fourth place is last. I mean, not really, but in your mind, as you're preparing for the Olympic Games, you want to be on the podium. So first, second, and third have to be the primary goal. Of course, gold being your number one goal. But if an athlete is good enough to break away and stay away, man, what a story that would be. And if anybody's got the speed, it's the German, Florian Wellbrook, right here. But the speed's one thing, having the endurance, because as we talked about yesterday, there's strength in the pack, you know?
Absolutely. Does he look, they're not coming up on the feeding station yet, are they?
Not yet. No, they're okay. 12 minutes in, 12:30, coming up right here. So they're heading back on the long leg on the first loop. Wellbrock is extending his lead. And him, Mark Antoine says, I'm going to do my best to go with you. So you have two men swimming solo, and then the chase pack. And the chase pack is definitely crowded, but not outrageous. I mean, there's some guys that are well back of that first pack, because this pace has to be incredible. Maybe Quinn, or you remember what the time on the first loop for the women was, because that's when Ashley Twitchell made her move. After one loop, she did not feed and took off. In this case, you know, we're coming up. I'm certain these guys are going to be faster than that. At least Florian is, even though his stroke rate is very much in control. There's a lot of guys behind him paddling faster. And he's kind of doing a little angle, and they're all kind of chasing after him. But beautiful shots from above where you see the ripples in the water. You see his, then you see Poirier's, and then there comes the chase pack. So I got it.
I'm on. So
all right, Stephen, you can watch the race. I know frustration for 14 minutes you couldn't see.
I was dying.
Now they're calling the Frenchman the chase group on my live stream here. You see Wellbrock, and then it says chase group, but I don't know. You'll see when they come in, and this will be interesting. Do you think Florian takes a feed?
If he doesn't take the feed, he's going to do the same thing that I think. Here he comes. It looks like he's doing it.
It's a tough call. I think you're right. I mean, if I'm him and I already have 12, 15 second lead, why not? You're only going to lose 3 to 5 seconds on a guy who doesn't feed. Right. And then you're going to still have the advantage. So in my mind, hydrate. He is good. He's coming right in. This is a great shot of him looking up.
And for people who aren't aware of the sport, what happened is these are feeding sticks. They're going to grab a water bottle, go on their back, take as much fluid in, try not to lose their momentum. Each of the feeding sticks is handled by their individual coach, who's put on a very specific spot on that dock. We see Florian just checking everybody out. You've seen him moved about 10 meters as he was actually taking that feed nice and slow. Sometimes they run into one another, but with 25 people, there should be a pretty clean. I know the women's race yesterday was very clean.
It was pretty clean. I'm looking for Wilimowski. I haven't seen anybody come into that American flag yet, but you know what? We'll get the places here, and I can read them out. But when they come under this bridge, this is the Omega timing bridge they built just for this event. And very tight to the side. Wellbrock at 15:49.3 for the first lap and change. And behind him, the Frenchman, his time is 6.4 seconds back. He had a much quicker feed. 13
Right.
seconds behind the leader is the Hungarian Razovsky, and that's your top three. And
Okay.
then comes the chase pack that muffles. He's at 21 seconds, fourth place behind the leader, and then you'll see a whole group of them that would include Wilimovsky's in eighth. He's 24 seconds back. You look at 15, 30 seconds back, and that's the young man from Ecuador, Farinango. So there's three guys now swimming on their own.
It's interesting. You see, the two Germans have two completely different strategies here. You got Florian way out in the front. You have his German teammate. They obviously they're taking the German coaching advice, and one athlete goes this way and the other athlete goes that way. That's really interesting.
There's a great shot that Quinn just put up on our page. So if you look up, there's top 10. And who's 10th? 25-second back, Us Maluli. I would never count that guy off the podium for any reason, man. He's, he's the aging one.
Oh, man, that water looks glassy. At
this end, it is a lot more protected. One of the things you were talking about, Tokyo Bay and Odaiba Beach, at this end, right at this turn, is the most protected part. And just behind it, you'll see white sand. That's a big recreational area. The people in Tokyo love to go to Odaiba, and a lot of people swim there just for recreation purposes. But the Frenchman said, look, you're not getting away from me, Brock. And I'm on you. He's already made up. And I think a lot of it, you said, that Florian kept moving on his feet. He took a nice I counted the seconds off the clock. It took him 9 seconds compared to yesterday. We saw Ashley Twitchell about a second and a half open her throat and throw the complete beverage down. He was drinking it more slowly. So, maybe we need to get him out to, learn how to open those throat muscles. There's some training exercises in Germany. I'm sure there's places he can practice.
Yeah. What I found interesting is Christoph, the young man from Hungary, another fish out there. Nice shot, cameraman. Yeah. So Christoph is in third place. So Marc-Antoine of France, he's catching up. He's making an effort to get to Florian, the German. But then you have Christoph in that no man's land. He's not in the trailing pack. He's not up with the two people. So I think he's got to make a choice. You don't want to be in no man's land, just either be in the pack or be in the lead pack or be in the chase pack. Just don't be in the middle.
I agree. And I think he's doing everything he can right now because he can see that Mark has caught up. I mean, Mark is now getting some draft off Florian, and so that breakaway strategy for the German, if it was me and me only, is now got to be amended. He's got to make some edits. But you can see the kick behind that. The third place swimmers who we're talking about, if you've got it up on your live stream, Christoph is definitely trying to make this jump so it can be a party of three, and then that way, if they can continue to pull away from a very, very talented crowd, I mean, the pack isn't going to die. Now, those three guys working together, what's your thought on that, Steve? If there's three guys and they're actually working together versus 13 or 15 guys working together, what's the energy? What's it like?
Oh, absolutely. This is a huge difference from what Ashley Twitchell did yesterday. Ashley Twitchell pushed the pace, but she never broke from the pack. These guys are definitely making a choice to break. And if there was one guy, I'd count him out, just like I just counted, even if it was Florian. With three guys, that's powerful, especially these three guys. We said in the front of the show, these three guys were amongst the 6 favored podium finishers. So you got 3 talented guys with a lot of aerobic capacity in the front. That's going to be tough for the pack to catch up. Now the pack will catch up, but it's going to take them some effort.
I agree with that. And I say that Olivier is getting a little bit of a draft. Christoph is not yet taking advantage of any of that. And there's the chase group. I see Jordan Wilimovsky. They've got a up close and shot of him. It looks like he's at the front end of the lead pack, which is just as bad as leading the whole race. I mean, and not bad in that. Oh my gosh, you're 21 minutes into a 2-hour race, so he's not in trouble, folks. It's not like that. Right. But if he continues to persist in leading a pack of other people drafting off of him without taking his break to go behind, it could be in an hour from now, it could be trouble. But I think he's also one who's very well aware of the strategies. He knows this pack. He knows these guys. He knows how good they are. And he's aware that, hey, if I let them get away too far, we might be, in a whole world of hurt in terms of getting on the podium.
Yeah, I have a question. It looks like there's more boats out on the field than in the women's race. It just looks that way to me.
Okay, I don't know that there should be or could be, but it's possible. And you're talking about the power boats, not so much the kayak or paddle.
No, just the number of boats. I think the number of the paddle boarders, I think that's probably the same guys, would be my guess. They did a great job yesterday.
Oh, those lifeguards were great. You got the guys on the jet skis backing them up, and thank God we didn't need them. But you're right. In hot water has always been our nightmare, and we make sure safety is first. You see Christoph really trying to get back into it, don't you? It almost like, I think it may take him till the next feed, but if he can join that group of 3, you're right. Then as long as they all take turns leading, they could be very.
I sorry about this. I see 6 white boats. One of them just went out of the Krama angle. I don't remember 6 white boats on the women's field.
I can't say. I knew we had the black media boat, and then it's like we had at least 4. I know there's a safety boat. Now, generally from a referee's point of view, there's the chief referee, and then there's referee 1. In a big race with 60 or more, we'll have referee 2, 3, and maybe 4. But in this race, there are only 3 referee boats. So what you're seeing there includes the 3 of them. And also there's usually a safety boat. The media boat that's working in terms of getting us all these great camera angles and wonderful shots is that black boat that you'll see. And it looks like there's 2 of them that are doing it. But the other boats, it's possible. It looks like they're flying the FINA referee flags.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So there's 2.18. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask a question. I've always wondered this. I don't know what the right answer is, but do countries cooperate with one another? Do you think that an allied power and an Axis power, again, I'm going back to World War II history, and maybe that's unfair for contemporary athletes. Do you think they sort of call up in the middle of the night, secret diplomacy, and say, hey, look, my guy is going to go out there. What about your guy joining him? Is there some kind of secret cabal?
Well, I know that way back in the day, early 90s, 2000s, before I got in with FINA, I was head coach of the USA national team. And I would consult often Chris Gusden, who was the head coach of the Australian national team. And we ended up both moving on to the toes together in 96. And that's when we made the pact. We got to get in the Olympic Games. And Gusden drew it on the napkin. Unbelievable. But the reality is we always felt kind of like the Europeans didn't like there was always like, here you got 3 Europeans. And here's another great advantage for the Europeans. Len has an unbelievable history of great open water racing. And they have races for youth, races for every level, elite level. They go to the European Championship in 96, and that's when we made the pact. We got to get them to come to the French Championship. And so there you go. It says here Olivier is 10 seconds back, but we know that can't be accurate.
No, yeah.
He is closer on the feet. And but this big pack is 30 seconds plus back. I mean, they're definitely, at least a 25-yard pool or 25 meter, 30 meter, back type of thing in my mind. If you're 30 seconds back, that's 50 meters, right?
Yes. Now, looking at Florian, he's swimming really comfortably. I mean, I can't say that this guy is pushing the pace. just looking at his stroke.
His kick is relaxed now. It's more like a 4-beat slow. I'm telling you, the whole first loop, Steve, he was 6 beats to get away from the group.
Wow.
So I agree with you. Now he may be putting the same amount of strokes per minute and catching the same amount of power underneath. But this is a great shot from the drone. 26 minutes in, there are 3 European men who are pulling away from the field. And you know, could it be a strategy? Could they have talked to each other? Maybe, but I would say it's more likely that they just recognize each other. Hey, we're 3 of the very best. We've raced each other for the last 5 years while we're getting ready for this thing. And you can see behind him, it is Jordan Wilimowski, who has been leading that pack. And now he's given up the lead of the chase to one of the Italian swimmers.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's Gregorio. He always breathes to his left.
Okay. Yep.
Or sorry, his right.
And it would make sense. You know, you guys back there in that chase pack, now you're almost 1/4 of the way through this race. You don't want to get any further back. And if you can share some of the duties and work with each other, they don't have the kind of advantage that bikers have, that they can actually, I've seen them do that. Hey, we can do, oh, it's my buddy there, let's bike together. Come on, the 3 of us. But in ways that they communicate as swimmers do, I've definitely seen it with some in some big races. I don't know about the Olympic Games. I just don't know if you form, you know, some type of ally with somebody from another federation. I don't know. I don't know.
And you know what's really interesting to me is Jordan. He's a surfer. He's a surfer from Malibu, California. And he just keeps on getting right in that perfect spot by Gregorio Paltrinieri. I mean, he just drafting, just like sucking the forward momentum from Paltrini. I just like, man, this guy really knows the movement of water.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't grow up in Malibu and go out and surf there unless you're a waterman, you know, and really, you know, I mean, it's phenomenal. You think of what Jordan's done over the I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, that this could be his swan song. He may be rapping. You know, he's been around now. He's been to a couple Olympics and you know, you certainly have to believe that somebody who grows up in that environment, loves the ocean as much as he does, you know, to be able to inspire a lot of young guys, not just in California, but the entire country. They all look up to Jordan.
So now put yourself, put your chief referee's hat on. Now you got 3 guys breaking away. You got the main pack there. What do? You as a chief referee, you're responsible for all adjudication of all rules on this course, but do you position yourself in the middle? Do you go with the lead guys and tell your assistant referee to handle the main pack? What do you do?
If it were me right now, I would stay with that lead group of 3 because I'm expecting them to get a little tighter and bunch up, and ultimately, you know, that's the lead. Now, there are times where I've let a leader go, but I haven't let a group of 3 go and then stay with the pack. I would definitely instruct my referee number 1 to stay on that chase pack tight, be in close, make sure they see you and know that you're with them. And then referee 2 might even assist with that chase pack, maybe on the other side, halfway back in the pack, so you can get angles of vision from both sides. When there's a big pack, it's good to have 2 boats, 1 on either side.
Yeah. You know what's also striking to me? It seems to me, again, you know, we just saw the women yesterday. The men are actually kicking much more than the women are. I mean, I remember that women's pack for the first 5 loops, nobody was beyond a 2-beat kick.
Now watch, this is interesting if you're watching the feed, because the Frenchman is now he caught right up. He was, and I think Florian he took 7 seconds. The Frenchman took 3. Okay. Yeah. And now he's right on him. But I don't think Florian got his entire bottle in like he did last time.
No, I agree.
And even though we joke about it, you want a wide, I like cups. I always have my athletes cups, and we would practice throwing it down, because when you have a small water bottle the size of these, and you're slowly letting it, you're just wasting time, even if you're doing one arm backstroke. There's Wilimovsky. Right. He only took 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and he's right on it. But he only got a third of his water bottle in, you know?
Yeah. No, that was a sip. That wasn't a drink, and it wasn't a chug.
Yeah. Yeah. So the leader is Wellbrock, 31:20.5, 5.9 seconds back is Olivier. Rozovsky is 5.9 seconds back, and that's your big three. You know, Germany, France, Hungary, great nations, all of them in the open water. So, you know, basically you're at 31:20 up to 31:26, and now here comes finally the chase pack with Wilimovsky and that crew, and the Canadians at HL Fan, he's in the lead there, but he's 33 seconds off the lead. So he's a full 27 seconds behind the third place male.
Right. So you're Wilimovsky. You've gone 2 out of the 7 loops. There's still plenty of time, but there's got to be an element of worry in there, right?
I'm sure it's more than worry. I'm guessing it's not panic yet, but it is great concern because, you know, the races these guys have been in, they see a lot of different things. But if you've got 3 guys that are as fast as anyone in the field, that far ahead at any point in the race, you know, it's concerning. It's concerning. Yeah. So yeah, the head games, as you said yesterday, are critical, and it's such a mental chase. Look at that. There's a picture of 31:35, and there we look at 32 minutes. So you can see the difference in the times there, and the lead pack is just, you know, I mean, 30 seconds. You know what? Yeah. 50 meters. That, you know, that's the length of an Olympic pool. At least they're at least that far ahead from the leader to the chase pack. And I don't know how much the Hungarian's getting benefit. I mean, psychologically, he's in the lead pack of 3, but
correct.
It doesn't look like Christoph's getting that much draft at this point, at least.
Okay. And you know, let's talk a little bit about the turn buoys here. Now, we haven't had a big crunch of guys around the pack. They're really spread out a bit, but those these buoy shapes, they're really cool. I really like them a lot for minimizing the
Tell you a little story about it. I mean, very phallic in their origin, because I know when the guys talked about it, and it was funny because you know what our meetings are like, and certainly some of the guys, we had one of the guys on our committee trying to explain what he wanted, and I, you know, we have a group that is men and women, and it was just, wait a minute, what are you saying? And he was trying to describe it and draw it on the board. This is a couple of years ago, one of our meetings, but the Japanese guys were there taking notes. We want to do it exactly as you want. And so he drew this picture, and I'm just like, oh, this just doesn't look right. But you are correct, because you want the height so you can see it from far away. And by the 6 side shape, what's that, a hexagon? Hexagon 6, is that right? Septagon 7, pentagon 5. It's got to be hexagon. So octagon, hexagon. The hexagon that is the 6-sided polygon that you see does allow, and it kind of spins. So if a guy hits, really not, it's not like that hard. And this is based on really a lot of the information. You know, Britta Kamrau has been our athlete rep. She brought that request to us because she's been in these races many, many times, world champion herself, you know, repeatedly, but she talks to all the swimmers. And as you have said, the turn buoys can be such a flashpoint. So having them designed in this fashion is something that, you know, really turned out, despite the chuckles we got when we were trying to set it up, to be very, very effective turn buoys. So.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
And that's another thing that the Japanese guys do. You know, you've been there, you've lived there. Unbelievable culture. We ask, we receive.
Yeah. This is great. These are just great shots.
So now let me ask you.
Now I don't understand this at all.
Why would he go?
Christoph is wise. What's he doing?
I don't understand it. I mean, I thought he was racing to try and catch up to those guys to draft. Maybe the psychological draft is all he wants. He prefers to be out there all by himself. I think to me, the one saving his energy the most there is the Frenchman. Imagine that, coached by Stéphane Lecat, and he's in the perfect place.
I mean, if I was coaching young kids, I'd say, don't do what the Hungarian is doing. Do exactly what the Frenchman is doing.
Exactly. And, but it's still, we're 36 minutes and change into this race. And I think, these guys know, I mean, in their mind, wouldn't it be great to just know what they're thinking? If you could somehow read into their mind, and I guess we not in my lifetime are we going to see that, but maybe sometime you'll be you eat this chip, or you put this in your ear, or you put a little chip into your brain, and then the announcers are going to know exactly what you're thinking. I don't think that's happening, not anytime soon.
Now it's also a relatively new innovation in sport are the tattoos, the race tattoos. We have the numbers. Sid, you and I grew up where they were handwritten and you couldn't tell the difference between a 9, a 4, and a 7.
I know, absolutely. I mean, and we'd come out and get the popsicle stick, because grab that stick, it's like,
right.
I think, okay. Well, here comes Christoph now. He's finally come into the fold.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I don't need to be by myself. So we have a trio of elite European distance athletes. And from the gun for the first 38 minutes, Florian Wellbrock has not been challenged for the lead. Not yet. He has a couple of elite guys right on his feet. And then 30 seconds back, there's a chase group. The chase group looks like they're spreading out a little bit, Steve.
Yeah, I think that's going to separate into 2 or 3. That'd be my guess this next. This is a third loop. They're coming up on halfway, maybe in another 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. So I got a feeling they're gonna break off.
Yeah, I would agree that we'll see what can really happen from here. But man, I would be amazed if it works out for Wellbrock. I mean, I could see these 3 ending up on the podium and nobody ever catching him. But if he were able to win the gold after leading this whole race, that would be incredible. Feather in his
and his schedule in Tokyo has been incredible. A preliminary 800 free, a preliminary final 800 meter free, a preliminary 1500 meter free that they swam fast. And then an historic, epic 1500 meter race. I mean, he's gone 4 hard races in a week.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be interesting, very interesting. I don't think the chase group is done yet, though. I mean, I really would love to see him come back, maybe close and pack with these leaders with 500, 1,000 to go. It will really make for an exciting finish. So believe me, and you talk about thinking of what these guys are thinking, getting in their minds. I promise you, those guys haven't given up. There's no way they're giving up.
And Florian, just to remind people, he won a bronze in the 1500. What was that? 4 days ago? 5 days ago?
Right. He was on the podium as a bronze medal winner for Germany, and man, that had to take something out of you, right?
Right.
But then again, it might have excited him enough, that when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. We heard tale of that. When you believe in your mind that you're the best, it's much easier to do this type of, get the pain. Now they're going to be going right by that Omega pup tent. That is going to give us a time at this marker, 40:24, 8 seconds back, Olivier, 8.2 and 8.6 is how it registered. Now, again, these are unofficial split times, but it will give us a very good idea of if this chase pack is closing at all. So they were a full 30 seconds back last time from the leader, 29.8 behind the leader. but 21 behind the silver and bronze type swimmers at this point. And that's
Sid, when you
Paltrinieri
see a
still.
pup tent, you see a pup tent floating in the middle of the course. Now, how in the world is that data going from the pup tent to our television screens here?
Well, they do have a satellite that's connected to it. So it shoots up into the ionosphere somewhere, I don't know, and then comes back down. But the guys from Omega have sunk literally millions and millions into this sport since 1991. And they really, really escalated it since 2008 when we became an Olympic event. So, I'm just very thankful that they're partners with FINA and with the IOC, because there's no one better than the Omega guys, the Omega people. They do a great job for us.
Yeah. We had a comment from one of our listeners, Olympic coach of the Swiss national team, and he reminded us that Marc Antoine's actual pool coach on the pool deck is the great Philippe Lucas. Now, Stephen Lecotte is sort of the mastermind of French open water swimming, but the day-to-day coach is Philippe Lucas, who grinds them.
Look, I get that. And now he has also some foreigners training with him, right?
Yes. I mean, in 2016, he had Sharon Van Roendaal, the Olympic champion. He had Ariel Muller, who unfortunately got disqualified on the last stroke, and Mark, and he had a few others.
Okay, I get that. So certainly we appreciate that tidbit, and knowing that Stefan's more of the manager of this trip, that he's the head of the French kind of group.
Open water, yeah.
Right.
So he's handling everything from, the domestic French open water series to finding funding. They trained over in Tahiti, to prepare for this heat. Stefan took his team over to Tahiti and trained in the tropical heat, getting ready for this event 2 years ago. So, talking about a multi-year, very strategic plan, Stefan has done a wonderful job.
And credit to the French Federation in total for putting that kind of emphasis on open water swimming. Certainly they've shown up at all the world championships of late. And you talk about Tahiti, we actually discussed that in our FINA technical committee, because we were thinking, hey, well, since they're going to move surfing out to Tahiti, how about we just go open water with them? We can go to Tahiti for the Paris Games, but I guess it will be a little iconic and wonderful to be swimming in the Seine, in downtown Paris. But they've already done a great bit of work on that course, and it's going to be special, and it's only three years away, so it's a quick Olympiad for us.
Are the athletes, will they be able to see the Eiffel Tower or Notre Dame or anything like that?
They recently just tweaked the course itself so that it does not start and finish right at the Eiffel Tower. There were some issues in terms of spectators, and so I think it's kind of more on the left bank. But it is supposed to be a very spectator-friendly course. And certainly iconic views in the background will abound over Paris. I know my wife's thinking we should go for a month for that race. I'm like,
and it will be downstream, not upstream.
There you go. Absolutely.
So here they are coming into the feeding station where the coaches are all lined up in their designated locations, 1 through 26.
Yep.
The athletes know exactly where they are ahead of time. So they know if they're sort of mid-dock or toward the end of the dock or toward the further end of the dock.
Okay. And my live stream showed us a pretty good movement there. Paltrinieri, the leader of the chase pack, in 4th position right now. And it'll be interesting to see how quick these guys feed. As I said, I would like to see Wellbrock feed a little quicker, if I'm his coach, is I just think it's taken too long. And when you have a lead, okay, you can relax. Maybe it's a mental break as much as anything. And his trainer's further down. I don't know if that's an advantage or disadvantage, but see, he's trying to get it all in. And I guess he just, okay, he got most of it. But if
he needs a wider cup. That's for sure.
Yeah. Just a big mouth on his bottle or
right.
a cup. Yeah. But Paltrinieri, he's quick. He was less than 3 seconds in and out. And here's Wilimovsky not feeding yet. Does he come in?
Oh, he swung out wide.
He is wide, and he said, "Nope, I'm going with the Italian guy here, and we're going to try and make up."
Okay.
So it was 29 seconds from front to chase. Let's see what we get here at the. And here comes some more feeds. This is very interesting here for the guys giving chase. 47 minutes and 7 seconds to have the lead swimmer. There he is at 47.057, Olivier. And Wellbrock and Rosal. So that's the first time we've seen anyone other than the German in the lead position. 47.05. And the fourth place, the Italian swimmer Paltrinieri is 18 seconds back. So look at that. He made up 10 seconds in the course of the last 12 minutes.
Yeah. What also is very telling to me is we hear a lot more animation and cheering and whistles from the coaches. I get this sense that the coaches are starting to, I wouldn't say panic, but they don't want that chase pack to get too far out.
Oh,
we did hear that on the first two loops.
And I wouldn't doubt that, that Paltrinieri's coach told him on the last feed, hey, these guys are getting away. So they've had as much as a 31-second lead, and it's boiled down to 18. That tells me the lead pack's going to, at least the elite leaders, and that bodes well for Jordan Wilimovsky. If you're looking here, strictly from the American point of view, if he's able to work back into this and see, is that Paltrinieri there? It looked like he got a pretty good feed, and he got it very quickly. I just love these shots, man. The slow motion, high def.
Now, some of the men have purposely, and those are in air quotes, purposely let their caps fall by the wayside, but they do have transponders on both wrists, and the athletes must finish with both transponders on both wrists. Is that correct? Well, there's a pause there.
Yeah, it's a dramatic pause because it's a dramatic question, and it's gone back. I mean, every time we've gotten into this, and there's a difference in language, in the English language, in the rules, in how it is portrayed, and I have always been on the defense with this, that it says you must finish, with A. And then they were going back and forth. No, you must finish. You must have both. Well, what if one comes off in the last 500 meters or 1,000? In reality, guys have finished with one many times, and we have never disqualified. I don't think they should be disqualified. In the beginning, when transponders were first being used, people were ripping them off, and it was costing Omega a lot of money because they were even more expensive 20 years ago. Well, as it stands now, and one of the things we touched on yesterday, I'm really believing that 7 years from now, when we're in Los Angeles, and maybe even in 3 years in Paris, we can have a different type of transponder to include a GPS and get that chip to go somewhere in their cap, or they lose their cap, or on their goggle strap, or tucked under their suit, so that every person could still be have a way where we can check their time and even check their place. Because imagine that shot from above, if you've got GPS and you can put the flags right on your screen. But no, I do not think you have to. There are rules. People that read that and go, yes, you must finish with both. I just think we got enough on these swimmers already And really the transponders are secondary. As long as we can see the number on the hand when they touch, then we know what number they are, because the visual high def camera that Omega puts on the finish from 4 different angles, here, 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 and here, you're going to be able to see who touches first. And if 2 guys touch together and you can't see a difference, then it's a tie.
Yeah. And on the cameras, they're on a floating pontoon. However, one of them has to be on a fixed point of land, correct?
Correct. So they will have one over on the side and zoom it in, and then one from above. These guys are, I mean, they keep developing more and more ways, to better the sport for us, so that we can watch it, we can understand it. And, it looks like they're breaking out some now, Steve. There's some interesting movements at 15 minutes.
Marc-Antoine have definitely increased his stroke rate. That is a definite stroke rate increase. And same with Florian.
Oh yeah. They're picking it up, and they see these guys coming back. Christoph said, okay, my turn to lead, and I'm going to try and push it a little bit here. But if you see not too far back, the Italian looming, and his stroke rate is really coming on. And I think that's Wilimowski right on his feet. We haven't seen it lately, but right. that chase pack that was huge is now a chase pack of about 4 or 5 pretty elite guys that are closing in. So, as you look at it from above, that second pack may be able to join with the first around 7-8K into the race. And then you'd have 8 or 9 guys fighting for the podium down the finish.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. Did you get any intel from your colleagues there in Tokyo Bay, what the water temperature was or the air temperature?
I did not yet, but let me see if I can find out. I know that the group that sent out that info yesterday, I probably have it somewhere in here. I've gotten, because of your show, because of Wowza and what you and this group has done, my machine's blowing up here. I can only do so much. I'm an old man here. What are you doing to me? How can I answer all these and follow this? It's a great thing. The head coach of the USA Olympic team, though, she does get back to me. 29.3, Catherine Case said, was the start. So that's actually 0.2 lower than yesterday, which is a good thing. I'll see if she has any other comment or anything she can tell us from the feeding platform out there.
So here's another question. And again, this is trying to educate our audience. We often hear of pool swimmers who shave their body. They shave the hair off their arms and legs and, all over their back, wherever. And that's to give them a better feel for the water. They're ready to race. They're more sleek. What about the open water? Do people shave for the open water?
In the majority of cases, yes. I mean, I always had our athletes shave. I think most do. If it was a super cold race, maybe not. But I think they do. It's a ritual, if anything. Yeah. And
I was shocked when I saw Peter Stoichev. Again, Peter got 6th in the 2008 Olympic marathon swim. He's recently got into ice swimming, where he set a world record for the ice kilometer, which is water under 5 degrees. He shaved for an ice swim.
I don't know. I mean, when you shave, you're telling yourself psychologically, this is a big meet. I got to be ready. Yes. And it might be nothing else. My favorite part about shaving, Steve, was, first of all, it was so cool when you were young to go stay in a hotel. It was like, oh, cool. Yes. And to get into a really freshly made, nice bed at the Marriott and get into those sheets where you're all shaved. It just felt so good. I think that maybe it's a psychological thing for these guys, but
absolutely.
I say, hey, if it works in the pool, why not? Why not?
Yeah. So again, this flotilla of boats, support boats, media boats, officials boats, it just looks really cool to me. We just from above, this is a great view. They're passing the tent there. This is the short leg of the rectangle. Again, to remind people, this is a rectangle course. And this particular leg here from 505 kilometer to the 518 kilometer is the shortest point.
Yeah. So at 130, and that's great when the screen shows, you can see the difference there. Wellbrock back in the lead. Rozovsky's 4 seconds back, and Olivier now 8 seconds back, and the Italian only 15 back. So he's only 7 off of third at this point. And there's Wilimowski in the white with the red letters on his cap. He is right behind, and then behind him is the Canadian Fan, and they've actually got Fan ahead, but I think that's, again, just a little glitch in that timing. The archway is much more accurate than the pup tent, just for everybody's reference.
Right.
But the reality is it does help us. This is telling us that Jordan is 22.9 seconds behind the lead. So he's definitely closer than he was a lap or two ago. And they passed the 5 meter mark around 53 minutes, Steve. It could be, it could be a 146, 148 type of race.
Right.
An hour and 48 minutes to do 10,000 meters.
I know.
No turns.
Unbelievable.
No turns at all. You got nothing to push off of for 2 hours. It is, it's very interesting here. Well, and it looks like this group, well, you got the Hungarian back in the lead, even though Wellbrock is listed first on our site right now.
Right.
It's pretty clear that Florian's kind of pulled outside. I don't know why he's not right on his feet unless he thinks the angle's better out there. But even then, that pack of 4 right behind him, we said, with the Canadian Fan, and it's led by Paltrineri and Wilimowski. And the 4th one in the blue cap, can you see that? Yeah. Here it's probably the who is it? Israel. Roditi?
Yes. Roditi, yes.
They've done a great job in Israel of building this event up, and their open water swimming. We were blessed to go there for the youth games a couple years ago, and I got to give it to the Israeli Federation. They've been phenomenal building this race up.
Yeah, they've got some huge events over in Israel, huge events in the Sea of Galilee and just all over the place. And they're really have taken to the sport from a societal level.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful country in terms of the hills that come right up to the sea, and the it's so clear. It's one of the scuba diving capitals of the world, a lot, where we went for the youth races. And that's
in the Red Sea, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Just it is a part of the world that we're going to see a lot more of. Certainly the FINA Short Course World Championships coming up in Abu Dhabi in this December. And rumor has it we might see some other FINA events besides just pool swimming there. So stay tuned for those details. I believe we're going to be very happy in the open water world with some opportunities that FINA is actively pursuing. And again, I told you yesterday, in many ways, it's our new president. And actually our new executive director, who's an American guy, is doing all the staff work, but the new president who has followed up from Kuwait is certainly, he made it his his duty to come to the qualifier in Portugal. And what we did was have a discussion, and he picked everyone on the committee's brain and wanted to know how to make this event better. What can we do? And I told you yesterday, one of the big suggestions was change our 5K relay to a 6K. So everybody does a 1,500. Everybody in the world understands 1,500 meters. Then we got splits we can sell to the media. Here's what they did in the pool. Here's what they do in open water. Bingo, bango, bongo. We're going to be in much better shape if we can get the media to understand what we do.
Got it. So you just introduced a new word to the global open water swimming community, bingo, bango, bongo. I like that.
It's not new. It actually was part of our American team back when Eddie Sinnott was a national team coach.
Oh,
Eddie
okay.
brought that to us in, I think it was our trip to Italy when we stayed down there in the circle. And Felipe Sancercheo. Bingo, bango, bongo meant we put a rap on it. And thanks, Coach Sinnott, for bringing that up to us here. And I love it, Steve. I think the passion that guys like that, those coaches, Tim Murphy, Rick Walker, we've had a whole series of them in this group. Dave Thomas, they would bring passion. And that's what you talked about at the top of this show. Now look at this shot.
Yeah.
There's 7 guys, 4 chasing, 3 leading. And those are the podium guys in my mind.
Absolutely. I don't see that secondary chase back
in front of the other guys. It's like, oh wait, you can't cut right in front of them. It looks a lot closer. That ref would never go in front, if he thought it was actually going to be disruptive. But you have to cut across if you're the head referee and you're trying to get to your next position, or you're the number one and you have to be assigned to that side, because as I said, being boats on both sides, much more fair to be able to see what's going on.
Now, you've mentioned FINA a lot during this thing. And for most people in the swim world, they understand who FINA is. But there's a lot of people who watch Olympics and just FINA. What is FINA? Can you explain what FINA is?
Yes. Here, let's see this. Wilimovsky. Oh, did not. Is he coming in? Nope. Not feeding again. Jordan?
No, that would be a big mistake.
He did not feed again. So we'll see. But FINA, F-I-N-A, is actually the French acronym for Fédération Internationale de Natation, which is the International Swimming Federation. Just like FIBA is for basketball, FIFA is for football, soccer, FINA, natation, is for swimming. And they were founded way back in 1908.
Yep, 8. Yeah.
1908, am I right? I know it's the 1900s. I'm pretty sure we've been well over 100 years now. I remember the 100 year, I think, was Beijing, but it actually lent a lot of governance to the international sport. Okay, here we are. Under there, 2 seconds back, 2 seconds back, 8 seconds back.
Okay.
And
this
then,
is a race. And
then fan at 16. It looks like, yeah, I can see that now the lead pack of 4, a little bit, but I don't think that Wilimovsky and the Greek swimmer now cannot.
The Greek swimmer and the Canadian swimmer, they qualified in the second qualifier, which, some people argue that's actually it might be an advantage. I mean, the top guys here, they qualified literally 2 years ago, over 2 years ago.
Right.
These guys just recently got in there.
Certainly the argument can be made that we've often had a podium performer or a winner. Usmaluli won as a second round qualifier back in the day.
And the Hungarian woman, she was a second qualifier. No, wait a second.
I think in Beijing, even in 2008, we had someone on the podium. I don't know.
Ristov. What did Ristov? She qualified first or second qualifier?
Well, you're asking me to try and remember. I'm not sure what I had for lunch, but I do think that it is an interesting qualification method. It is going to be tweaked because I don't know if our fans are aware, but this field is going to lose 3 from 25 to 22, I think is our new number. Okay. That the International Olympic Committee is asking FINA, the World Federation for Swimming, to cut back and to figure out you can only have 25. So our response to that has been this. What if you do cut us back to 22, but you allow us to enter any other distance athlete in the pool who does not put their federation over the 2 per limit? Because we could easily go 35 or 40 kids in this race and be safe. And if the kids are already in the Olympic Games, what's the big deal? I mean, what they're trying to do at the IOC level is bring the numbers down overall. Well, you're already going to have credentials. You're already going to have a dorm room. You're allowed to stay till the end of the games. why not? Why not let another 4, 5, 6, 7? Can you imagine knowing you're the Hungarian 1500 guy and not having to go to any qualifier?
Yeah.
Could be a pro, could be a con. A lot of racing is, valuable because you do get the experience, but a lot of times the summer calendar especially is so crazy crowded for these guys. So nuts. And that's something Fina's looking at too, just not only in the pool, but in both.
Yeah. Well, man, he looks good. Just looks so smooth. We're talking about Florian Wellbrock, the German. He got a third, a bronze medal in the 800 free. I'm sorry, a third in the 1500 meter free, and a close fourth in the 800 meter free. So he's had a full schedule, but he just looking so smooth.
Officially, I'm sorry, Steve, but Paltrinieri has officially joined this lead pack, right? Of 4.
Yeah.
And they've broken away from the other 4 where the Canadian and Wilimowski reside in that second pack of 4. And they can hardly afford to let too much time up because we got about 40 minutes left in this race. They're an hour and 6 into it. There's a cool shot for Florian's catch. A lot of coaches talk about that. People were talking, I heard them on the television show talking about pull the water. You don't ever want to pull the water. What you want to do is actually catch the water. You get that grip, you get your elbow up nice and high, your fingers down pointed towards the depths of the ocean or the bottom of the pool, and you hold that entire forearm as your paddle, and then you try and wiggle your body past it. Ernie McGleishko taught me that when I was a first-year coach, one of the greats, and he knows about swim mechanics. And when you look at these athletes, and they're actually they're just really rotating. You can see Florian is beautiful. He reaches out and then gets that catch and just moves his body right past. Yeah. Okay, so there's our lead pack. Strokes. And
he's got a great smooth ability to sight. He just works in the sighting ahead. Where is he going? Making sure he's got the buoy in the right angle. He just works it in so nicely. And he does it maybe every, I don't know, it seems like 20 to 30 strokes.
Now you look, if you caught the same stream we did, his stroke count was 30.3. So that is 60.6 actual arm circulation. So 30 revolutions with both arms per minute. Paltrinieri, who caught up to him, is 40 per minute. The other guys are 33 and 36 in between the two, but 40, that's 80, which is high for a male, I think, but we've had some really good males, Yeah. And Steve, this might be a good time. One of the guys who did have a high stroke rate was Fina's very first world champion ever, and God rest his soul. We lost Chad Hundeby this year.
Oh, yes.
He was not only USA's first world champion in open water, but he actually was Fina's in Perth in 1991. And just sad to lose anyone, and you lose someone that young who meant so much to so many. I remember those days with Chad and Jay Wilkerson and that group that included Martha Yan and Karen Burton, and they won for the USA the first time around. But the reality that life is short, and these guys know this race is short. It might seem long to us, but they're pouring their hearts into it, and they'd like to be standing up where Chad stood, no doubt, on the top of the podium.
Right. And Chad was incredible. I mean, he didn't like cold water. He didn't like marine life. I mean, if you don't like sharks and you don't like cold water, but here he was, the English Channel record holder. Here he was swimming in Australia. I mean, the guy sort of compartmentalized like the best.
Yeah. Swimming under his coach, Flip Dar, man. What a character that guy was. I learned a lot from Flip, and it wasn't all about swimming.
Yeah. Well, we see, Jordan Wilimowski, fellow American, he's trying. He is trying to fight in. And I got to hand my hand off to Roditi. I mean, this could be Israel's highest place ever in open water.
Wow. I'm thrilled to see. I hope Roditi and Wilimowski and that group can kind of get back in there. There's still enough time, and they are, they're hanging, but boy, it's such a linear stretch. It's a pack now, 6.48K. Okay. At 1:10:42, the leader went by there. And that's Wellbrock still. It's 10, 12, 13 seconds. Can't quite see. There's the other guys. So they're still a good 16, 18, 20 seconds back, at least for the head of that group, and then maybe more, much more there.
I think these guys have at least 2 or 3 more gears left in them. I mean, I know they're swimming fast, but man, I just think we're on lap. They got 2.25 more laps.
Right.
I think they could step it up even more.
Yeah, I do. I think they've got at least 1 more gear, but you're right. They may, and the stroke count and the smoothness of the German, it just looks so good. And right, the waters, there hardly must be any wind at all, because it's, even over an hour into the race, there's just
if you're looking at the course right now, you see a bunch of land in the background. Those are actually man-made islands. They're literally landfill that the Japanese have put homes and Olympic Village and airports on, etc. So they've got this is the inner part of Tokyo Bay, facing the Pacific Ocean on the east coast of Japan. So and from here, it's just go 20 minutes in any direction, and you're going to literally hit millions of people. Millions of people. And
Steve, I do remember that the Tokyo crew, when they put their Olympic bid together, this intersection, as I said yesterday, of the infinity symbol, is where they laid out all of the new and the old, and open water swimming was right at the crux. This is the media centers here. NBC has their, if you watch Mike Tirico every night from his balcony, he's looking over the rings. Those are the same rings. Those are our rings. We had them first for the test event 2 years ago. Yeah. So, and they're right here on the edge of the course. So he's looking over, and you can see this whole thing. And, I know that they're showing track and field right now. So a lot of people want to join us and find that stream. You can get on that stream. If you've just come on to Facebook and you think, well, I thought you guys were going to show the race. No, we're talking about the race. We're going to watch the race because we've got our live feed on. You need to do it too. Get your stream, find the race. It's out there on plenty of streams. I think NBC Stream does have it. Their main channel is doing track and field, which is, it's fine. A lot of people love it. It's great. I love watching all the Olympic sports, but during swimming, man, I'm honed in. So this race right now, we are going to discuss for about another 40 minutes till they finish, and we'll stay on until the awards ceremony. If anybody cares to, talk to us and chat it up, we'll be a little more relaxed once it's over. But the reality is, we are here to help you understand what the race is doing. And I know that, our audience isn't going to be NBC's, but we are going to offer you a lot of technical detail that you probably won't get other places. So we've talked about it. We love the sport. The German is still in the lead. If he takes this almost wire to wire, I guess there was a couple places where he wasn't leading, but it wasn't for long. That'll be a story in itself, but still a ways to go.
Yeah, look, so let's talk about the equipment that's used with these athletes. You got a swim cap, you've got goggles, and you got a swimsuit. Sometimes people wear earplugs if the water's cold, and obviously in major international competitions, you're wearing 2 wrist transponders. That's it. There's not much, maybe a towel, some flip-flops.
Right.
Sunglasses.
And in the old days, we didn't even have goggles. Literally, I never did a short race, which I would say a mile and under with goggles on. But now I finished swimming in the late 70s, early 80s. So, goggles were still coming out, and they were the big, sea hunt, in the beginning. But the reality is, if you want to be an open water swimmer, you're right. You do not need a lot of equipment. You can go down the beach and practice, and then find a coach, find a team, swim with lifeguards, never swim by yourself, especially open water. Rule number 1, still the biggie. But Yeah, if you want to get involved from this angle, they really make that second group look like they're closing in. I think maybe this next feed, would be very interesting. And I think it's a young man from Greece. Yes. Yeah, and that's 𝐭𝐞𝐞𝐯. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I hope so.
𝐭𝐞𝐞𝐯. 𝐭𝐞𝐞𝐞𝐯. I don't know if the Y is KY, Keen or Kin, K like an I, short I. But either way, the Greek is pulling them closer. And he said, look, let's see if we can't make this pack of 4 a pack of 6. Now, I cannot see if the white cap right behind him is 𝐒𝐿𝐿 or not. You'll see, right. And he's not right behind him from this angle. You got the 4 and then the 2 and then 1 and 1 7 and 8 seem to be struggling a little bit. And that includes, so it's either the Canadian or the American who's trying to go with the Greek to catch the lead crowd. And we'll see here very soon because, we do have
one of the fun facts that we learned recently was we all talk about the marathon. And we know the history of the marathon is basically a Greek warrior ran 42 kilometers to inform his military counterparts about the battle. Well, in 480 BC, we had the first marathon swim, the first documented marathon swim, which was 14 kilometers in 480 BC. 2 people swam, same sort of idea that I believe it was the Persians. I could be wrong, but there was a war, and these 2 athletes, warriors, swam 14 kilometers to go inform their military counterparts, and that was 480 BC.
That's phenomenal. That's good data. I'll bet there's a story on Wowza about that somewhere that I can Google and read.
There is.
Israeli boy who's in 6th place. So it's not the American and the Canadians right now, because it looks like to me these 6 are really going to put a push unless, and I think Jordan's got to get a feed now. These guys are
absolutely,
they're like, okay, I can deal with 4 and maybe 6. I don't want this crowd.
Oh, wow. Check out Mark. He did not feed. He just cruised.
Yep. And with 7 loops, I guess you don't have to feed every single time, but that first group of 6 it includes that. And there's the last 2 coming in to feed. There's Jordan finally feeding in there, and you can see now he's all by himself. Or else
that's not good. No man's land.
I don't know if it's they both have white caps, and from this angle, we can't tell whether it's Canada or USA that's in the 7th position. But in my mind, with 2 loops left, you're 7.17 into it. Both of those guys are having a tough go to get back into the race. I see these 6 that are passing through down. The Greek now moved all the way into 3rd, or 4th. He's 4th, right behind France and Roditi. So within 8 seconds, you have the first 6 men.
I'm going to throw out 2 names that I have not seen in a long time, and I'm shocked. One is Ferry Wortman, the defending Olympic champion, is nowhere to be seen in this top group, either the chase group. And then Rob Muffles. I mean, this is really surprising to me that Ferry Wortman is not up here with the group.
Yeah, well, this past year and a half with COVID, so much has gone on. And then, some people you have it some days, and then it's a very, very hot race. It is 𝐒𝐿𝐿, who is in his no man's land, as you called it, all by himself. He's not in the group of 6. He's not working with anybody. He's solo in this shot that you see up. The first 6 are already through the gate, and he's going to have to give chase, but there's no way he's going to catch him on the last loop if he doesn't make a move on this lap, and a pretty strong one. I would be shocked if he can make up any distance on the last one. So I think if I'm Jordan, I'm saying, okay, it's panic time. It's time to go.
Right.
I'm not going to get up with these guys. I know that less than 2 loops to go. We're going to be done in about 22, 24 minutes. I've got to get in with these guys that are leading if I want to stand on that podium.
Yeah. Now, the race started at 6:30 a.m. local time. What time do you think the athletes were waking up grabbing some coffee, maybe some breakfast, stretching. Did their days basically start around 4 a.m.?
3 a.m. I think most of them were getting up at 3 to 4.
Got it.
I mean, I think 4, if you're racing at 6:30, a lot of them don't like, they want to be up more than a couple hours. They
Yeah.
like to get their clocks going. So my guess would be between 3 and 4. I know the referees had to be up there. They had to be on the bus at 3 for a 6:30
okay.
race. So they're coming down there, I mean, their clocks are whacked out, just like everybody else that's over there. But for this event, it's sad that COVID and the heat and everything made it, this type of race. We talked about yesterday, the athletes don't care. They get up early and swim every day anyway. And it's just, you lose all the fans. Maybe you don't get the TV coverage in Japan that you would have at 6 in the morning. You're going to get at 6 at night. I don't know. But the reality is that they don't care that there's not 10,000 people screaming. These guys are in their own world, and these 6 athletes that are fighting it out here for the podium, they have no care about swim fans. They're glad people are watching. Mom and dad are probably, glued into the live stream. But the reality is, and there's Jordan all by himself. I just don't know with that tempo, I mean, he's chase group of 1 is what he is. And if he were to get on the podium from this point, that would be an absolute phenomenal effort on his part. It's just, these are the most elite, the best trained athletes in the world, and they're doing everything they can to put distance between themselves and guys that are falling back.
Now, we always talk about channel swimming, marathon swimming, open water swimming is 80% mental, 20% physical. Now, I understand it's a cerebral sport. You can't really hear anything. You can see very little. And all of these guys are having conversations through their heads. What do you think they're talking about right now in their heads?
Well, if you look at the leader, Florian, right there, if I'm not mistaken, Steve, his kick just picked up and his stroke was picked up. He's no longer at 30 cycles. I'd say he's more like 32, 34 cycles per minute. And in his head, he's going, okay, you're the man. You've been the man. This is your race. You own it. Just if they can't pass me if they can't catch me. Absolutely. That's just the reality. Bob Matson taught me that in the 1500 when Tony Bartle went by me. He said, he can't pass. Don't let him catch you. I was like, yeah, easier said than done. And it's going to be easier said than done for Florian too, because these guys are going to have a kick. And it's not like you're looking at guys. And there's a beautiful shot on our stream, at least. You can see the pack of 6. And then there's a kayaker back there with 2 solo guys. And then that's Wilimowski and Han at USA and Canada. And sadly, it may be time for them to say goodbye to their chances. I'm not sure what that was floating there. I don't know if it was a big fish that had seen better days. But Florian has definitely really upped his pace. And
he's throwing down the gauntlet right now. This is the 6th lap of 7. The 7 loops are a little short of 1,500 meters. Florian has had a great week of racing, but he's gotten a 3rd and a 4th. I think he's dying to get on top of that podium right now.
I'm sure all of Germany would love to hear that national anthem play. And, it's not done. He's certainly, and at least with the other guys still in the picture being so elite, we're not going to call it or come close to calling it, but from our point of view, boy, he's going to be tough. He's going to be tough to pick. He is really going to be tough.
So by the time they hit that 3rd buoy, it's almost 8 kilometers with 2 kilometers to go. And I agree. He reminds me right now of how Anna Marcela Cunha looked yesterday. Just long and strong and powerful.
That's a great point. The difference being that Anna definitely did some drafting, and to date, to this point in the race, Florian has done next to no drafting.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
And to me, that's, It would absolutely be incredible. And you'd almost like to see it, because that way coaches could go back and say, see, you can do this if you're tough enough, and everybody's going to go home and try and get a little tougher. But yeah, it looks like, it's still fairly calm. I don't think the wind's picked much up there. So they've got one of the flattest courses we've seen in a while. Beautiful rainbow bridge behind them.
Yeah. So it's closing in on 8 a.m. local time. It's probably quite warm. Oh, I see that drone in the background there, getting some nice shots.
Yeah. Technology today is incredible. So it says 7.92 kilometers at this left-hand turn, and boom. So in another 8 meters, there you go. You've got 2K to go for Wellbrook and his chasing pack. They're all chasing him. I mean,
right.
It hasn't been the type of pack that works with each other, that actually feeds off the energy of each other as much as, here's the lead dog, stay with him if you can. And look, Paltrinieri. I mean, he had to work hard to catch up, but once he caught up, it looks like, and Christoph Rosovsky, he's been drafting for a good bit. Look at that great shot of the Israeli with his eyes right on our screen there. And his eyes are on the prize. He wants to be on
Absolutely.
that. How great would that be for Israel with all the effort they've put into this event? As you said, hosting the many events they do. I think, I think there's still 5 or 6 guys that could end up on the podium, but maybe only 2 or 3 that could get the gold. I don't know. It would be hard to come back in that last loop from 12 or 15 seconds back. You come back for 6 or 8, it's one thing. And
so we've got they're passing the last turn buoy of lap 6. They're going to be passing the feeding station, and what we saw yesterday, the athletes are skipping the feeding on the last loop. They've got less than 1,500 meters to go, and they're just going to dig deep.
Yep. So it looks like 5, according to that. They feel like the Greek has fallen off a little. I think he's still in touch enough. He is back of that group. Now this is going into the long leg, and this is interesting, Stephen, because it looks like someone's split off by themselves.
I think that's Mark Antoine.
Okay.
Because he's the one without a cap. But then number 2 is also without a cap. I got an aerial view over here.
Right. I was thinking that might be Paltrinieri. It looks like his stroke.
Oh, yep, you're right. He's got that sort of doesn't seem to me very efficient, but man, he's fast.
He's grabbing that water underneath. He's holding it so well. And to me, it's almost like, well, maybe if I take a wider loop, I can sneak by, the leaders but I don't know, man. Look at Wellbrock out there just in control. And but somebody's jumped on Paltrinieri's feet. It's now we've got quite a few of them that have lost their cap. So it gets a little tougher on us, but I certainly understand it. I'd be shaving my head and writing USA on the side of my head for sure.
On that one, the yellow buoys in the middle of the course, they're just guide buoys. You don't have to go right, you don't have to go left. It's your choice which way you go. And it seemed to me that yellow buoy sort of gotten Paltrinieri's way a bit, and they seem to have lost at least by a half a body Florian out there.
Okay. I think you're right about that. And it get into that, when you get into that last loop mentally, I think you can throw the beautiful strokes out the window because, there's nothing to say that this Italian guy just on heart couldn't come back and end up on top of the podium. And I'm sure everybody in Italy is pulling for that. As much distance as he made up, remember 3 or 4K into it, he was still 35, 40
Yeah.
seconds back. And so
Absolutely.
he's, and he's had some great feeds. And now, it looks like, Wellbrock's it's his race. It's definitely his race. And that's what we said about Anna Marie yesterday. We got to this point and she was very much in control, and going into that last loop with this kind of a lead, it would be his race to win or lose. And
so what kind of workouts do you need to do to be at this level? Like, what do these kids do on a daily basis?
The majority of these athletes are training in the pool for the majority of their practices. Now, they use the races and they use some open water simulators. They train, maybe they go out on the weekend, but during the course of a week, depending on the time of year, they're probably pushing, 80, 90K a week. I'm sure there's weeks they've done 100 on a normal week. Maybe it's not that far. Maybe it's more like 60, 70K, but I got to believe they're swimming speed work that their coaches believe will help them be successful in the 1500 in the pool, and then maybe add a little bit extra. Okay, because you want to do the 10K, we'll do more. But the reality is, if you're a 1500 meter swimmer and you're one of the top 10, top 20 best in the world, you've got what it takes mentally, because your practices don't need to be 100K a week. You don't need to do,
right,
2 10,000 meter practices a day. You need to do some of those. You've got to build up a cardio, type of development, but most of that happens when you're younger. And in this stage, when these guys are late 20s, 30s, they don't want to beat themselves up so much that they can't recover. So in the cycle of the week, they would probably build up, have a recovery practices, go another 2 or 3 days recovery, and then maybe a long swim on the weekend. But every coach is going to have a little bit of a different feel for it. And look at this.
Yeah. So now we've got Christoph, the Hungarian, is on the, I wouldn't say on the heels of Florian, but he's the only one within striking distance, it appears.
And it looks like they may feed, or at least Florian coming in with the intention of feeding. And I think Christoph, leading the pack of 4 on the outside, sees that, well, no, maybe they didn't feed at all. He just took the inside track.
Bell lap. Let's see.
Love to hear that bell. Coach is going a little crazy, jumping up and down there. Yep, Christoph did feed. Now look at him, and he picks up that 6-beat kick. I did not see Florian breathe or come in and feed. I'm sorry. And
he did not. He did not feed, and the other guys didn't. They're just taking a beeline to the corner buoy. This is it.
1,400 meters to go, and I do think when we say feed, obviously in this type of race, nobody's taking anything solid. We really mean your drink, your nourishment, and everybody kind of puts their favorite, whatever turns them on. It's usually a mix of some type. They might put certain, I know I used to like bee pollen and honey, and it was whatever the toast of the day was. We used a lot of natural ingredients. I never did like sugar. I know you didn't. You would be a little more natural too. You would try and stay away from the heavy sugars.
Well, what Penny Dean taught me is to drink the canned peaches, the syrup in the canned peaches. We diluted that with water.
Diluted for sure. I had a problem in La Tuque, the 24 hours when I crashed. My partner was Mayor Jim Whalen, God rest his soul. He did so much for Atlantic City and open water swimming. He's in the Hall of Fame. But we did nothing but peaches. And in the middle of the night, man, he crapped out. He was done, and he never came back. He went into a coma. And I swam about 6 hours on my own, and the last 2 with one arm, till I finally said, okay, I got another 6-7 hours to go. I'm going to maybe finish and get a couple $100. Let me out. But the reality was, I thought the sugar in those peaches weren't good for me. Now, some people really like them. And I remember Penny was the one that turned us on to it. I did a number of races that year with Penny in Chicago, and the next year in Canada. And She was pretty phenomenal, but nothing like her English Channel. But I do think these days they're feeding with, a lot more technical knowledge, and what might be good for Florian might not be good for Jordan. Maybe he likes something a little different. The important.
Florian he just laying down the law here. I mean, he's opening it up. He'd have to mess up royally to lose this gold medal.
So do you think if you're Christoph, you realize that and go, okay, all I'm going to do is just kind of hang, get the silver?
No, I think he's going as fast as he can. I think everybody else is just going as fast again. I just think today was Florian's day. I mean,
it sure appears that, and there have been so few of these races where, one guy gets out and gets away, and I give credit to these 6, 7, 8, 9 guys who did make the chase early and they had to use a lot of energy, which is, but like you're saying, we never brought up some of the very best, some of the most elite athletes in the field, like Ferry Wheatman, right? We never saw Usmaluli. Now I know he's getting older, but the way he finished in his last length in Portugal, it almost was like he got 10th. He knew what it was. He knew what it was to get in. But I think these guys are the future. They're definitely young and strong and raring to go. But yeah, let's see if Christoph has something that could possibly get him a little bit closer.
Yeah. I mean, Florian's 22. I don't remember how old Christoph is. Let me look that up. I mean, these guys have at least 2 Olympics left in them.
Paltrinieri, and again, these guys coming from that European series, they get to swim so many different places and they get so much great competition. You can drive 3, 4, 5 hours in Europe, and then there's another race and another 20 elite athletes who can race against you. And I think in North America, South America, it's a little different. For us to try and get it together, we're working on some details for the future. We want to get, a little island series together, maybe one in Florida and a couple down in the Caribbean. And I believe that will help our American, and American, I don't mean just USA. I mean from Canada all the way to the tip of Peru, all the American nations that, to up our game, to give our athletes a little more of an opportunity to race in the number of times that the Europeans do.
Yeah.
Woo, man.
He is taking it to him. I mean, I would have not guessed this would have been the case with someone in such control of the race. This is, we're used to when Ferry Wortman just beat out Spiros, by a hand touch. When things come down to a photo finish, this is the anti-photo finish.
And it's exciting in its own way. You're right. It's not that thrilling come down to the touch. But then again, there can be no question who the best man is today.
Oh, yeah.
It is, Paltrinieri trying to move up from bronze to silver, but not sure he's going to get there, with only a few minutes left now, really, what are we saying? Maybe 4 or 5 minutes left in this race.
Yeah.
It definitely has been, all Florian all day.
Look at that. Look at that lead they have on the chase pack.
Oh, yeah.
They have really opened it up.
So if you're a young guy out there watching this, and maybe you're a pretty good 12 to 16-year-old distance swimmer, what advice would you give them, for, wanting to be in this position one day, Stephen?
Oh, man. I mean, first of all, if you want to see the world, be an open water swimmer. I mean, Sid, quite well, where are the open water swims held around the world? Beach resorts, tropical islands, the most beautiful coastlines.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. If you like beautiful rivers, oceanfront properties, I mean, this is a sport to be in. Now, to get here, it does require a lot of work. To get at this level, it does require a whole heck of a lot of work. And these athletes, we've seen this transition from 2008 when Martin van der Weijden of the Netherlands won. He was a 15:45-ish 1500-meter swimmer. These guys are a whole 30 seconds faster. The athleticism of the entire sport, I think, has been elevated. They're fast at the 200, they're fast at the 400, they're fast at the 800. But really, it boils down to, do you love what you're doing? And the guys here love what they're doing. All of them, all 25 of them, the very last guy to the first guy, they have to love the open water. They're adventurers. And if you have that spirit and you've got the capacity for hard work, just going up and down a pool, that's what you need to do if you're 12, 14, 16, 18, etc.
I agree with that 100%. And it is such a good way to see the world. I didn't realize Martin was, I thought he was low 15, but if he was 15:45, these guys are a full minute faster.
That's right. A full minute.
They're 14:45 to 14:30. I mean, they're down there. And I remember he was in that 15 range, and yet it has progressed. And I think having the most elite athletes in on a day like today, where it is a lot like a pool, it's very flat. And, you're still dealing with this extreme heat, making this an incredibly challenging course. And that may be why it got so spread out, is that, Wellbrock said, hey, I'm going to push the pace. You guys come with me if you can. And only a handful even were able to do that. In the background, we see that the Israeli is still holding down maybe fourth place in the blue cap, or is that the Greek in the blue? And
the Greek is in the blue.
And then right behind him is the man from Israel. So these guys, they're doing all they can, but it's not looking like the podium's promising at this point.
Yeah, this is so impressive. This is really impressive. Just to lead any marathon, running, swimming, cycling, it doesn't matter, from basically start to finish, that's impressive.
Yep, I would think that where we are today in the world of marathon swimming, this one's going to be talked about because it's a strategy many have tried and very few have ever succeeded with. Yesterday, I said it was Edith Van Dyke. The last time I saw someone go out and lead wire to wire, when Sam Greetham held the first FINA World Cup in London that we had. Yeah. When we were not into the Olympic Games, we were running these 10K races around the world, and we went to the banana docks, and she swam an unbelievable race, and I was there as a referee watching. This type of thing, but she just got away, and nobody ever caught her. Nobody. She was all by herself the entire 2-hour race. In this case, Wellbrock has had to fend off the world's best distance guys. They pulled up, and at one point, Hungary led for about, maybe 200 meters.
Yes, that's it.
Maybe that long. But other than that, it's been wire to wire. And look at that kick. He knows he's got 400 meters to the finich.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, okay, I can do anything for 3.5 minutes. Watch this. And it is. He's extending his lead. It's like he could cruise right now, Steve. He could probably swim at our pace and still win. Yeah. Well, maybe not. Well, let's not go too far. It might be too much exaggeration. But
I would love to know the timing of his last 400 meters of this race.
Right.
He's doing a Bobby Fink in the open water.
When he doesn't even have to, because he was huge in the lead to begin with. Look at this. We have not seen this in an elite race in a long, long time. But the battle for silver is on now, Steve. Take a look at Paltrinieri. Yeah. He said, hey, Christoph, I'm not finished. We might not be getting gold. And both of us might end up on the podium. God willing, there's no disqualifications or shenanigans. I had the misfortune in Japan to have to disqualify an Italian swimmer who won the bronze medal in this 10K event back in Fukuoka. So even before we were in the Olympics, the World Championships were the big. And luckily, there was an Italian guy in fourth. I just DQ'd the guy because it was just an egregious, ripping off. He tried to rip off somebody's goggles who ended up getting second anyway. I can't remember what federation the guy was, but there was no doubt in my mind I had to do the red card. And blew up and this and that. But I do appreciate that the Italians have always been there. And this Italian, look at him. He said, silver's better than bronze. I might not get gold, but Christoph, make way because I'm not finished. So we're going to.
I don't know whether he's looking at the finish or looking at Christoph.
Oh,
this is going to be a good finish. Oh, this is going to be an exciting finish for silver or bronze.
Okay, well, that's Italy's coach right there. And he sees Christoph trying to make the move for the silver. He's like, come on, let's do it, man. Let's get it.
And we got the finish chute there. Those are lane lines. It's sort of in a V shape, channeling the swimmers to the vertically placed finish pads, which that's the official finish. It's not that you cross the plane of the goal. It's actually that you put your hand on the finish pad.
Exactly. You have to have a physical touch, and that's where the cameras are mounted. And we will get a time, but the times are secondary. If it comes in a battle for second and third, it's quite possible the guy who finishes third, his transponder could set the timer off just ahead, because when you're that close, it really isn't accurate. These chips are great for us to get this kind of information. They're 7 seconds back, they're 30 back. But at the finish, it's all about the touch, just what you said.
Yeah. Okay, so I see the chief referee. He's by second and third place. He knows that he needs to be there, and he doesn't need to be where Florian is, because it's a clear winner here.
Yeah, Florian's there's nothing he can really do to get DQ'd or to have an infringement or get a card. But you see, Gregorio. Let me come over on this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He changed his angle, or either he's trying to go up on the other side of
he
Christoph.
definitely switched sides intently, and he wants to be where he thinks he can move up a little bit better. But boy, let's give it up for Germany and Florian Wellbrock. I mean, that is an absolute stellar. I'm calling it wire to wire. I just believe this guy has done this on this field. Whew, man. Hey, open water swimmers out there, you better get training, because this guy is the real deal. He is not only Olympic champion, but that's absolutely one of the most stellar open water 10K races I have ever seen.
Absolutely. 100%, man. This guy was the very definition of an open water stud.
And coming into the finish, there's absolutely no question. It's Florian Wellbrock. There is the touch. The German grabs the gold, 1:48, 33 seconds, an hour and 48 in this course. And here it comes. Green cap is Hungary. That's Christoph.
Okay, he's holding him off.
He is. He's got a good kick going. And I'll tell you, Hungary and Italy should be very proud of their sons here in the silver medal. It is Hungary, and bronze for Germany. Rosowski and Paltrinieri.
Okay.
Does that feel good? Yeah, pour some water on me. I'll bet it's like, and that's probably, that towel's probably been soaking in ice in the cooler. Fourth place is going to go to Israel.
Nice.
How great for them. Outstanding performance by Roditi. Fifth does go to our friend from Greece, Mr. Kinakakis. Heck of a race for your top five there. And look at the distance they put on the rest of the leaders.
Wow.
They put on the rest of the leaders in that last length. Of course, as hot as it is, Steve, look at that. Fourth place is a full 51 seconds back.
I never thought I'd see that. But the people they left behind are world champions, Olympic gold medalists.
Absolutely. I mean, so, some of the very best. And, you can't fault them. I mean, if you're in that last loop and you're going to finish fourth, fifth, sixth, and you're kind of in no man's land, as we see right here, no man's land means, okay, I don't need to come in and swim hard at the finish. Olivier had a great race early and just ran out of some steam. you could probably attribute a great deal of that to the water temperature. I believe that, the guys who finished probably acclimated better. The guys who were in the top 3 or 4 probably put a little more effort, or at least their bodies, for one reason or another, were able to handle this type of stress. That's an incredible stress. And we still have to be concerned for the health of all these athletes when they come in. It's not our choice. It's not FINA or anyone's choice to put them into water conditions like this. And we had a lot of discussions about other places we could put this race, but the iconic views, the work of the Japanese and the IOC's pressure on FINA and the locals, the local organizers. Now we're getting a little bit of a push here, to come into the 7th position. I think we had Wilimowski and the Canadian hand, and as they come in to touch the wall, this one is going to be Weirtman. Where did Ferry Weirtman come from? And McGlynn. These guys weren't, there's Fan and Wilimowski now coming in 9th and 10th. But that whole group is now 3 minutes behind.
Wow. I mean, a good finish by McGlynn of South Africa. 8th. Excellent.
And he
channeling
he made it in Portugal, right? He qualified in Portugal.
Yes.
I remember how thrilled they were that he made it.
Yeah.
So that's a heck of a swim and a good future boating for them. So we have 10 guys in, the winner by almost a minute, 50. What was it? No, it was a huge lead, for Wellbrock. And now this group's going to be, almost 4 minutes behind plus 3, 54, 55. Oh, but Florian's walking. I think he's going to get another new tattoo, maybe something that remembers this day.
Yeah. Oh, man. He looks like he could jump in and do another 10K.
Maybe the race course. Maybe he should just get the race course, like maybe right inside here. Put a little miniature race course and then below it, Tokyo 2020.
I don't know. He channeled the samurai spirit, that's for sure.
Could put a sword in there. He put a sword to this race. He stuck it to them all. That was incredible.
Oh, look at these guys. I love this. They're finishing strong.
Ruffles, Edwards from Australia, and then Japanese top finisher, Midi, the Italian, Sanzuelo. There's Ecuador. He's in 15th. Farinello, Seidler, Delgado, Martinez from Spain is in the 18th position. So
I know Seidler's from what's that? Namibia. Nambia. South, right, just north of South Africa.
And he was nice. A qualifier. He wasn't in the top 10 at Worlds, right? He made it at Portugal.
No, I believe he was the African continental representative.
And he finished in the top 20, top 16 or 17.
Excellent.
That's a heck of a swim. And that, I'm expecting, that we're going to see a lot more out of our friends from Africa and from some of the smaller countries, in a large part because of what FINA has done to make funding available for those countries that don't have as many resources as those we're used to seeing on the podium. And, I really believe that Hussein, our new president, is a man of his word. I've seen him reach out to the athletes, reach out to the ideas. I told you about his 6K relay idea. We're going to see that. We're going to see that very soon. And there's going to be some big prize money meets. He really wants to give out all the money that FINA promised these athletes, but there's only been one event on the circuit. So how do you do it? And that's what they're going to brainstorm about. The FINA bureaus in their next meeting, they're going to talk, how do we reward these athletes that are obviously they're great representatives of the sport and they deserve everything we can possibly give them. There's a great shot of the Tokyo Bay, right in the center of everything. Marathons. Yeah. There's the Ferris wheel you see every night on the broadcast, no matter what federation you're watching it from. We've had 19 athletes in. The first Russian Olympic Committee member, Abrosamov, he finished 5 minutes and 55 seconds behind our winner. So he's still well under 2 hours. I mean, you're talking about 1:54 has gone by. There's some great.
You were a great. You are a great referee. You've had to make some split-second decisions. Is that a red card? Is that a yellow card? The photo touches. I mean, was this the easiest potential race to referee? I mean, I don't think we didn't see one yellow card.
We had one race in the last few years where we had no yellow that I recall, but I can't remember where it was. But that's amazing. No yellow cards at all. No yellow.
I mean, I don't think. Did you recall hearing a warning whistle even?
Nope. I mean, we can ask Bill Ford to get an idea, but I think overall, you're right. That was an incredibly clean race. And I'm very, very surprised that we didn't even get any hint of shenanigans. Maluli finishes number 20. Is a 7 minutes and 59 seconds. So he's within 8 minutes of the win, which means he's right at 1:56. Very respectable time on this course for the old man. And just we all appreciate what you've done for this sport, and congratulations on competing now and finishing in your 6th Olympic Games. 6.
Unbelievable. 6.
The Tunisian Rocket, man, that's a great swim for him just to finish. So who knows? Maybe he'll because nobody's ever done 7 Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
This is great. I think open water swimming was well represented here in Tokyo. Great course, unbelievable camera work. The women's race and the men's race were two different strategies. Athletes did different things. There was drafting, there's feeding styles. Men were pulling off their caps. This had everything except on the men's race, a photo finish. And
no conflict, no aggression, no real ugliness.
Yes.
Okay, Kazakhstan's this was the 26th athlete admitted into the game. Why we have 26 instead of 25? I'll tell anybody who's still listening. It had to do with a communication error that was made by our former executive director, who is now retired. It went to the president of the Asian Federation, and it did list the Asian 2019 championships in a list of 3 events, 2 pool events, and this as one of the Olympic qualifying events. And because of that, we didn't want to go back. It was a mistake. It was a mistake on his part. It should have never gone out. It didn't go through our committee. There's Bill Thorley finish, Hong Kong's pride.
20
That's within 10 minutes of the leader. So
young Bill, 18-year-old.
He's young. He'll be back. Yeah, I thought that was interesting to watch. And again, what the Wowza did. If you want to look up any of these, the Wowza website has beautiful video bios on every one of these 51 athletes that competed this weekend. And just because the race is over doesn't mean you can't go back and check them out.
Right.
I think that was well done. I think we'll see young Bill Thorley again. The Hong Kong Federation has done a great job. Certainly our chairman, Mr. Ronnie Wong, has contributed his adult life to the sport of open water swimming. And the Federation of Hong Kong is still set to host this year and has hosted many a great open water event. This will be our 23rd finisher out of 26 who started. And that is from Portugal, Campos.
Okay.
He still gets under the 2-hour mark at 1:59 and 11:08 behind our leader, our winner, our gold medalist, Florian Wellbrock. I bet our old friend Tomas Lurs was watching today.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll bet he's beaming with some pride to see the young German come through in such a dominating fashion.
Yes. Thomas Lures, who got a second, a bronze and a silver in 2 consecutive Olympics in Beijing and in London. Just a tremendous worker. I said do you ever do any weights for your legs? He goes, no, but I do 60-kilometer hard bike rides. That was in hills.
Oh man. That's some real cross training. Well, and then I'm surprised we haven't seen him in a triathlon at some point. But you know what? The man dominated. Lurs was the man for year after year after year. You know, you could never go to a big race and not see him on the podium, and often at the top.
Yeah.
Italians are happy. There's their coaches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. These guys are very happy. We got on the podium. We got it done.
And they have cool shades too.
Yeah, well, they are Italians, you know. I mean, what do you expect?
I'm happy for Gregorio. I mean, if you know, with that mononucleosis he had in June, had to be tough. The month before the Olympics, he came back, got a bronze in the 800, got fourth in the 1500, and another bronze here. It's not exactly what he was hoping for, but under the circumstances, I think he swam like a champion.
Absolutely. You know, considering all he's done, and all of these guys are now finally going to get a chance to regroup. There's the Czech Republic, Kozubek, finishing in 2:01 and change. He's 13 minutes behind, and that means, what do we have? Two more guys to come in that we are still looking, unless they pulled him out and we didn't. I would imagine if anybody pulled out, they would have put it on.
Let's see.
You do have 30 minutes from
so we call that over the time limit. So if you're more than 30 minutes behind the winner, they pull you from the course. But
well, they'll sometimes let you finish if you're close.
Okay.
It'll just, your time will read OTL rather than DN. Oh, there's two DNFs. We did. Hector Thomas Pardo from Great Britain and David Aubry from France.
Okay.
So he never got that word, probably because the volume turned down and we don't speak Japanese. Well, you speak Japanese. You could have understood what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So there it is. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. The 26 accounted for. Everybody's safe. It didn't appear the medics took anybody off in a horizontal position. So that's a plus. Because
they would have done so with the board on the back of a jet ski, which you are prepared.
Yep. And my guess is that those guys might have just pulled out when they came into a feed, or they got back. Look, I'm not going to make 3 or 4 more loops. There's no way. And I will be very interested to see the comments, because there's the big Olympic rings, there's the media center, and there's the rest of Tokyo. Boy, what a beautiful shot. And, you know, so for my money, we pulled it off. I hope we ever don't have to swim in this hot of water again. You know, I understand why we did what we did. And great thanks to the Japanese. The people were phenomenal hosts. They did above and beyond the call of duty, going a full year after their planned date to be able to still stick around and get these Olympic Games done. If you're on the live stream that we're watching, they're kind of giving a little highlight reel. On our own page, you see there's Jordan Wilimovsky, the 10 to 18 positions. The far column tells you how much time between their finish time. Instead of Jordan's 1:51 and 40, he was 3 minutes and 6 seconds behind the winner. And remember, he was 8 seconds back with a 1,500 to go. I mean, maybe 12. He looked like he was just coming up into that group, but never quite got it done. And you know, hats off to him anyway. Here's 19 through 24, and then the 2 DNFs did not finish at 57 minutes, Steve, and 58 minutes, right? Is
okay. So that would have been around the 5K mark. They probably would just called it a day as they were coming into the feeding station. Yeah, I would think that's probably what happened. And you know, it is tough. I'm certain that in Paris, we're not going to be facing that challenge. The temperatures I expect in the summer in the Seine aren't going to be anywhere near this hot. Yeah.
They're going to be a little warmer because it's summertime. You get a river flow, you've got a different situation. And
knowing what I know of Tokyo, looking in this direction, on a clear, crisp winter day, you could actually see Mount Fuji, which is why they actually put that little mountain. Yeah, the icon of the marathon swimmer with Fuji in the background, because actually from this location on a clear day, if you're at one of the higher elevations in the high-rise buildings, you can see Mount Fuji.
Wow. I'm sure that's beautiful. That's a lot like being in Los Angeles. I remember in Hedrick Hall going up there with Billy Babashoff on a winter day where it was so unusual for Los Angeles. And this was the late 70s. There was no smog. You could see the entire, was it Sierra Nevada range? What
Right.
It was beautiful. I'm like, holy cow. And that's why the bumper stickers in Los Angeles on the left, if you're a Bruin fan, it say, what do you see when the smog lifts? And on the right, it says UCLA. Because you can finally see, but that's this in Japan. I wish we had looking backwards from my own personal point of view. I think being in one of those races, you know, the lakes there better than me, up near Mount Fuji or in the foothills where it would have been, 10 or 15 degrees warmer in the water. I think we would have seen a different race. I think more men would have been able to hang in with a swimmer like that. I don't know if Florian goes with that strategy, if the water temperature is a standard, maybe 70 degrees or 75 degrees.
Yeah, but today was his day for sure. He had it. He put it all together. They showed a replay of the start. I mean, he took off right away. 200 meters into the race, you called it. He had a body and a half lead.
And his stroke count was so slow, but so powerful.
Yeah.
What a great swimmer. And you're right. Today is his day. I truly hope, Florian, you get a really good tattoo to remember this one by, and show it to Steve and me next summer when we see you at the World Championships or wherever we happen to meet, or maybe in Abu Dhabi, because certainly you'll be racing in the pool. And if we're lucky enough to have an open water race there as well, I'm trusting you're going to stick around a day or two, because I understand could be some big prize money on the line in the Middle East before the end of the year. And
he reminds me of a comment, actually an answer that Carrie-Anne Payne gave one time. So Carrie-Anne Payne, as you know, was a very good 400 IMer, good 200 IMer, distance freestyler, and she transitioned to open water swimming, and she won a silver medal in the first 2008 Beijing Games. And some reporter asked her, "Are you a pool swimmer or are you an open water swimmer?" And she had a very simple answer. She says, "I'm a swimmer. It doesn't matter where I race. It's in the pool. I'm a pool swimmer. If it's the open water, I'm an open water swimmer." And that's exactly what Florian Wellbrock did. Today, he was a swimmer. A week ago, when he was getting his bronze in the 800 or the 1500, he was a pool swimmer. Today, he was the epitome of an open water swimmer.
Absolutely. Stellar stud. I will remember this race well, because he did something I have not seen in a male ever do. And that is, especially on a stage so big, it's really opened some eyes. And it's one of the reasons why, we're talking with the FINA Bureau and that group of what can we do to get these stars, to get these named swimmers into the open water, because that's how we're going to attract more sponsorship, more fans' attention, and more resources, so we can have bigger prize money. And the answer is simple: just attract them, because this guy, look at what he can do from a sponsor's point of view. If he goes home with a bronze medal, he's going to get some good sponsors. What's he going to get as a gold medalist?
Absolutely.
What's he going to get doing? I think it's phenomenal. And we get that relay going, the excitement of the relay. Can you imagine the very best pool swimmers from every federation going 1,500, it's just, and that mixed relay format that the IOC loves so much. My intel tells me Paris is going to be really hard to get it, but Steve, you're an LA guy. We've
Oh,
got to
man.
get that relay for Los Angeles and do everything we can. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up about Los Angeles, I think it's so exciting. We're going to be there in 7 years. That's your home. And you know that area better than ever. You're one of the guys that's talking about, hey, let's not name the site, like lock, turn away the key and throw it away. Let's talk about some options. Tell us what you're thinking about.
Oh my gosh,
water.
there is a section in Los Angeles that, in my opinion, would be the epitome of open water swimming. A, it's in the Pacific Ocean. B, you're going to be swimming with dolphins. Imagine, we saw a few fish flying out in Tokyo Bay. Imagine the lead swimmers, the people in the trailing pack, followed by dolphins. I mean, that's unbelievable. It'll be in summer, so we won't see blue whales. But if the race were held in winter, that is the exact path, the migratory path of many different types of whales. So you have giant kelp beds, you have dramatic sea cliffs. Obviously, it's LA, so in the background on these magnificent sea cliffs, you see these multi-million-dollar homes. And on a clear day, you'll see the Hollywood sign, you'll see Malibu. You may even see Leonardo DiCaprio walking on the boardwalk, cheering you on with Cameron Diaz and all the stars of LA. So
the race is it now. Would this be a loop or a point to point?
No, it would be a point to point. It would for people in our our world, our channel swimmer world, it would be the start very close to where they finish the Catalina Channel, and you would swim northwards towards Malibu. And there's a beach town called Redondo Beach. In my mind, if NBC, if the LA Olympic Committee wants to showcase the beauty of Los Angeles, this would be it. It is the spot of, and this is very important, the largest aqua farm in the Americas. So right there is, they actually farm all kinds of seaweed, small fish. It is a purposeful part of the blue-green economy that Southern California is actually invested in to showcase how valuable the ocean is to local economies.
And my vision, because I've been to Redondo Beach and I know the area you're talking about, not as well as you. I've also been to Long Beach, and I've been to some great races in Long Beach. We've had some, and the people in Long Beach were phenomenal. I know they're very involved in this. But in Long Beach, as I recall, you're basically talking a loop course. You're going to be going back and forth and very protected. You got those big oil rigs out there that are all covered with palm trees and some kind of, some kind of decorative costume over the, so you don't see them. But that water is not nearly as clear and crystal, and it's probably like, you're not going to have huge waves in Long Beach. You're going to have pretty much flat water because of that breakwater, right?
Absolutely. But more importantly, we saw how beautiful this course looked with the aerial view, with the drones. And now imagine in that coastal point-to-point course that we were talking about, the water is very clear. So in addition to the aerial view, you would have underwater views. So you're looking down at the athletes and then up at the athletes. Now imagine an aerial view combined with an underwater view and dolphins and humans racing.
Wow. That reminds me of Jamaica. I've been down there and I've been working with my friends there because they desperately want to get involved in some elite racing. And there's a new highway when you land in Kingston now. So you get you over to the west side about an hour and a half sooner. It's like going on a interstate, and it's just one toll you pay, and boom, you're over there in about an hour and a half instead of 3 or 4 hours. And when you get over to this side of the island, they had just that, cameras underneath. It was more clear than a pool, so that it was beautiful. And places like that you're talking about, if we had an Olympic event where you could have cameras underneath, that would be just awesome, seeing everybody go around a turn from below.
Absolutely. And the other great thing is this is a coastal area, which is very touristy. There is a boardwalk. Imagine thousands of people walking, because you can walk about the speed of these swimmers are racing, and you literally can see the entire race. So you'd have this flotilla of boats, you'd have these packs of swimmers, and you would have thousands of people walking along the promenade, the boardwalk right there. And it would just
Skateboard
be,
or ride a bike or any, I mean, can you roller skate?
you could ride a bike. There will be bikers. There will be people on roller skates. There will be people on what are the I forgot to call the
little mopeds, trikes, or what?
razors. The razors,
scooters. Yeah, they get
little scooters. Absolutely. And the really cool thing about it, and again, this is just a vision, is no buoys. There's a start and there's a finish.
Well,
and
you have to have some directional buoys.
Oh, you'll have directional buoys, but there won't. And obviously, the finish would be in a protected harbor, so it'd be, obviously everything will be quite funneled in, just like the Japanese had here. But I mean, in terms of let's say the start to about 9 kilometers, you would have the raw, pure marine environment of the Pacific Ocean, which, when you think of LA, you think of, people rollerblading on the side, you think of surfers, you think of beach volleyball. It really has the essence of that beach, Southern California vibe.
So right now, though, that's not the case. I guess the initial thought is they want to go to Long Beach.
Correct. So like Tokyo, you've got I forgot what you call them, like pods or centers. So you have let's say your water polo, your triathlon, your marathon swimming, your beach volleyball, all in one area. You have your gymnastics, you have your volleyball, the boxing, all in one area. So they have designated centers, if you will, hubs. And I would just encourage NBC and other people that, like, hey, throw in the flavor of LA. And the flavor of LA is obviously, you got beach cities, and this would be a great way to do it with, there's really not that much additional cost, if any, or you might actually be able to reduce costs.
Yeah, I could see that. And it would be iconic to have a point to point. I mean, there's so much, it'd be such a thrill. I know in the old days, the 60s, 70s, there were a lot of point to points. And as the FINA control of the races come in, really from a safety and just a logistic point, we've gone to this loop type swim. Yeah. But traditionally, it's even the Italian World Championships or the 25K. I can remember starting in San Felipe Cercheo and finishing down beach, 25K further at Terracina. Right. It was like, that's the race. We start here, we finish there. How cool would that? I would love to see that come back, and no turn buoys to get bumped into or disqualified. Less chance of shenanigans out there in the middle of the ocean. You want to pick your own.
I mean, our sport, the most iconic race and most iconic swim in the world is the English Channel, England to France. The point to point, even psychologically, point to point just makes a lot of sense if you're talking about a marathon swim. I understand the history and how we had to actually have it in the Olympic basin and a loop course. That makes complete sense. But, I think every sport evolves. I mean, look at the Olympics in Tokyo now. We've got skateboarding, 3-on-3 basketball, surfing. And I think the vision that you've nurtured all these decades will really enable the sport to be showcased in Paris in 2024 and LA in 2028.
You speak about surfing being in the Olympics. It was great when that storm rolled in and they had some good waves, but yeah. I do think we need to say happy birthday. And my friend Meg Keller reminded me of this. Duke Kahanamoku a four-time Olympian for us from, I think, 20 to 38. I mean, spread out over 20 years, his Olympic. He won. He's a father of surfing. And we got surfing in the Olympics, open water swimming. Duke, I mean, I think that you're right. It goes back to generations of people that have around the world loved open water, loved the ocean, would much rather see what we could do as Americans, showing them the beauty of the Pacific Ocean, the way you described it. So I'm on board. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any power at all. I guess my people I know, like Janet Evans, is very involved, of course, in the group, and she, being a great distance swimmer, has supported open water swimming many, many times for the years. But some of the people that are involved in that process, if they open their minds, since we're still 7 years out, and say, let's just look at some other opportunities besides just, and I guess they have when they put the bid together, but we're not locked in. I would hope. I would hope we can consider other options.
If I could take Janet Evans and her colleagues for 30 minutes out on a boat and show the course, they're going to say, of course. I guarantee it. It's just unbelievable what we can do.
Okay, well, you tell let's set that up. I'll fly out and go with you, because I want to be on that road trip, and I want to hear what the naysayers have. I think logistically, okay, I can see a point-to-point providing some challenges, but man, it's been done. It's not that hard.
Yes. Yeah. When you see those dramatic sea cliffs and the dolphins and the clear water with the kelp beds, oh man, you're just going to go, oh man, if I were only 22 years old, like these guys again.
I hear you. Well, our live stream has at least got a picture of an empty awards podium. And, these games, they did actually spread that podium way out, so the athletes don't have to be too close together. It was kind of funny. In the girls' race, they brought them all together for the picture. The girls took, wait, you got to put your mask on. I mean, with all these kids have been through, I'm sure, that they're going to enjoy this, mask or no mask on the podium. I think they put them up. They have to wear the mask. I know that protocols are tight, and they should be, but there will be a point where they get to pull them down, so we get a picture, and we will definitely get a screenshot up of that, of our Olympic medal winners in the marathon swim. Yeah.
Of all the races, I mean, the first, second, and third should be quick.
I know. I don't think it should have taken this long, but I guess there may be things that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
But I think as far as these official results go, there should be no problem. And sometimes protocol, it could be, Stephen, that we're waiting for something as simple as a window in the local broadcast.
That's true.
Say, okay, hey, listen, we want to get this live on our Japanese stations, or I mean, maybe it's the German ESPN saying, hey, if you guys wait 6 more minutes, we can put this live all over, and it's like, I don't know, we never know for sure what holds up an award ceremony like this. But I can promise you, if we were at the FINA World Championship, that award ceremony would be finished by now, because we've even bordered on getting it done before the last swimmer finishes.
Oh, really?
We're that in tune. We've been that in tune with, and it's important when you're trying to promote it to the media and the fans that are out there sticking with us. And for all we know, there might only be 4 or 5 people, like maybe my brother and a couple friends that I used to swim with that are still watching us. But the reality of this award ceremony is we want to stay here for it. We want to celebrate with these young men. They've had a phenomenal day, and certainly deserve all the accolades that we can grant them.
Yes. And I look at this image we see of empty stands, completely empty stands, and a handful of officials. There's a handful of photographers there, and the athletes will receive their medals. They'll hear the thing. I think they'll really settle in when they go back to their country and they see how happy their countrymen and countrywomen are right, typically, these stands would be full. You'd have Germans singing in joy. They're not going to be able to get that ambiance right here today. However, get on a plane, go back home, and there's going to be a welcome party for Florian for sure.
Absolutely. And who knows, if you get creative in your federation celebration, here's an idea that the great Don Easterling did when 1980 rolled around, and Duncan Goodhue, my teammate at North Carolina State, won the gold medal. Now, of course, there was a Western boycott. USA wasn't there, but he won the gold medal in the 100 breaststroke. Never take it away. Olympic champion. But they didn't play God Save the Queen because they, much like the Russian Olympic Committee, elected the Great Britain team said, we're not going to play our national anthem. We're not going to politicize the 1980 games. We will not raise our flag. We're going to raise the Olympic flag. So Duncan was quoted after he was so excited. He said, but I was a little sad I didn't get to hear and see my flag. When he came 3 months later after the Olympics back to NC State, Don Easterling, in November of that year, we have our biggest football game against UNC, NC State, 50,000 people in Carter Finley.
Oh, wow.
He rolls out. He's got a podium out there. He gets Goodhue in his Great Britain uniform. They go out. They put the award on him. They play God Save the Queen. 55,000 people in tears watching Duncan Goodhue, and he was bawling. And people. So if you're looking for an idea, you can ask old Coach Don if that might not be something you can do. Maybe at a big soccer match in Germany.
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Unbelievable.
That's the kind of motivator he was. I know, Steve, guys like you and me were blessed to have had great coaches and great mentors and great leaders. And I know in open water itself, I've had a lot of people teaching me. We talked about Penny Dean. She certainly taught both of us and a great colleague that she is. Or who are some of the other people that really touched you and got you so passionate about this sport?
Well, I remember when Lynn Cox was a teenager. I mean, Lynn Cox right now lives, 5-6 miles away from me. I mean, we grew up thinking that what Lynn Cox did as a 15, 16-year-old, setting English Channel records, what Penny Dean did, shattering the men's English Channel record, was just normal. Like, we're 12, 13, 14 years old, and the people that we know, the people that we swim with, are just shattering records. And we thought, if they could do it, we could do it. It wasn't like a big thing. We just grew up in that era where, the World War II, not much swimming at all. 50s started to build up. 60s continue to build up. But you look at the English Channel crossings, the Catalina Channel crossings of the 50s and 60s, other than here and there weren't that many. Then all of a sudden the 1970s rolled around when you and I came on the scene, and boy, the Penny Lee Deans, the Lynn Coxes of the world, the John Kinsellas of the world, they just came and they go, whoa, you could do all this stuff. So, I know that I was motivated and inspired by these people.
I know that time of the 1970s coming along was pretty special. I can remember it well, and how the world records kept dropping at our national championships. It was unusual if we went to a long course meet in the USA in the 70s and did not see a world record.
Yes.
I remember going to Kansas City and seeing 3, 4, 5. Bobby Hackett got 2 in the 1500. Well, he got the 800. I don't think he got the 1500 because he did fall off a little. They were catching him. But the reality of those meets in the 70s, because of where we were, and that was when we cut our teeth too. There were, hey, if you're going 10,000 a practice, I'm going to go 12. And maybe that's why we got such a distance mentality. I don't know, Steve, but here comes the awards ceremony.
Okay.
Marching in as we see them now looks to be the color guard. These folks will head over to the 3 long, tall flagpoles right on the edge of the water. They might actually be in the water from the way it looks to us. So you have members of the Japanese military marching out to the flagpoles. And the colors of the 3 European nations. Not a shock to most that will be on the podium today.
Now, to remind people what Sid and I are doing commentary, we're actually looking at the live Japanese feed, the actual feed in Japan. So if we're ahead or behind you, I don't think we'd be behind you, but if we're explaining something that just a little bit off from what you're seeing on your own screen, we apologize.
And the ceremonies are a little bit different because they have to still keep social distance and be aware. But as we said, nonetheless, they're going to be thrilling for these athletes. They will be handed their medals rather than have anyone get close enough to actually put them around their neck. So they'll still be putting them around their own neck, and they'll be, you can hear some music playing, and it looks like the march out is happening for the athletes. These are great uniforms that the local organizers came up with for the award ceremony, for the assistants, the Japanese, apparel flavor. They all match in those nice blue. And here
were those specially made for the marathon swim?
I thought they were for all, but I could be wrong.
This has got to be a really special, proud moment for these athletes wearing their own country's colors, representing all the people of their country as they stand on the podium.
Mr. Dennis Oswald is an IOC executive board member who will be presenting. They usually have an assistant who comes from either the bureau or one of the FINA. So they'll have an IOC guy and they'll have a FINA person who will, present the medals and then a bouquet of flowers or the representing FINA and I believe the Netherlands, perhaps. Yep, Eric van Huntington. He is a longtime bureau member. He's done a lot for open water swimming. And of course, we've talked about the Netherlands. That we haven't had an Olympics without one of them on the podium. So
right.
I love those Italian uniforms. Getting the bronze medal.
Yeah.
And
there he is, Gregorio Paltrineri.
And those are heavy.
A gold medalist himself in 2016.
Appears
he
to
speaks
be
very good English. He's quite a personable ambassador of the sport.
Gregorio Paltrineri, bronze medalist. Absolutely wonderful. And Hungary, another country that's always been there.
Yeah.
Christoph looked very happy. He raises his hands like, look at me, I got this. Yeah. Silver medal, putting it around his own neck. Beautiful. Oh, you can see the smile in his eyes, can't you? Even though the mask is over his face. They call him smiles. Yeah.
That's a lot of hard work that went into that silver medal.
Oh boy. For 5 years at least. And now in what I consider the most phenomenal 10K race any man has ever done, leading from start to finish, except for 100 meters maybe, it is Germany's pride. You have to absolutely, and look at him.
That was dominating. It not only was dominating, it was ambitious. It was audacious. I mean, he went out there and he just took it to him.
You're right. Audacious is the best word I've heard to describe that swim. It was incredible. It was audacious. It took a lot for Florian Wellbrock to step up and say, you know what? I'm going. Come on if you want. And these two guys were the closest that said, okay. But at the end, nobody was close.
Yeah. Well, we saw the athletes chase them, and the best of the best just fell off. It was incredible.
the distance he put between himself and the elite athletes of the world as they start to raise the flags and play the German national anthem.
Yeah.
It's just unheard of. Audacious. I like that, Stephen. Audacious. It was an audacious swim, Florian. We're proud to have been able to document it, at least audibly, for you, because it certainly inspired us. And I would guess tens of thousands of swimmers, if not more, around the world. Phenomenal, phenomenal effort. Maybe hundreds. I don't know how many people you think watched this race today, or at least saw some portion of it. Millions, for sure.
Well, let's see. What time would have been in, it would have been very late in Germany, that's for sure. In Europe, it would have been, 10 o'clock, maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m., depending on where you are.
Well, I'm certainly happy, Stephen, even though I didn't get to Tokyo last minute changing plans. I'm certainly thrilled that I was able to spend today and yesterday, but to be able to share that with you and the 𝐒𝐿𝐧𝐷 team and just all the great work that we've witnessed here in the pool, in the ocean, in the bay, and certainly by the 𝐒𝐿𝐧𝐷 team. You know, you.
Oh, it was honored. I'm honored.
Oh yeah, I'm honored to be a part of it, and I will always remember this Tokyo race for what it is, and for what these young men have done for the sport. And I'm thrilled that the IOC and FINA and everyone pulled it off for Tokyo's sake, and thanks Tokyo for our sake, because you guys have just been phenomenal.
Absolutely, everybody involved. This is great. Well, we're going to sign off. I mean, this is Florian, Christoph, and Gregorio. They did themselves proud, and they did their coaches, their team, and their country, fellow country citizens very proud today.
Top of the world. Top of the world.
Until Paris. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.